While you are lying there, in your warm and familiar room, somewhere far beyond the quiet hum of your ceiling, a small amber world is turning slowly through a vast and velvet darkness. It has been turning like this for billions of years, never rushing, never tired, never once asking anything of anyone. And tonight, of all the countless nights in your life, your breath has finally slowed enough to hear its soft, patient song. You do not need to go anywhere to meet it, because the journey begins precisely where your shoulders begin to sink. Let them sink now, just a little, as if someone gently lifted a heavy coat from your tired frame. Let the muscles in your jaw loosen. Let the space between your brows grow smooth. Let your hands rest open and empty on the blanket. There is nothing left for you to carry tonight. Nothing left for you to solve, or remember, or fear. The world you are about to visit has been waiting for you with infinite, gentle patience. Its name is Titan, and it is the softest, sleepiest moon in the entire family of our sun. Tonight, we will drift together through its golden haze, past amber lakes that breathe like sleeping children beneath a warm sky. You are entirely safe here, and nothing in this story will ever startle you or ask you to open your eyes. You may fall asleep at any moment, and my voice will simply continue guarding the doorway of your dreams. So let your eyelids grow heavy now, heavy like warm honey slowly pouring from a silver spoon. And if you wish for this voice to watch over your sleep on every quiet night, leave a gentle like beneath this story and let the subscription become your soft ticket into the endless, velvet vastness. Now, with one last slow breath, we begin. Feel how the room around you grows a little softer, a little rounder, a little more forgiving than it was a moment ago. The edges of furniture seem to melt into the dusk, and the ceiling above you begins to resemble the inside of a calm, dark shell. Your bed becomes a small, safe raft floating on an ocean of silence, carrying you somewhere beautiful without any effort at all. You do not need to steer, you do not need to paddle, you do not need to know the exact direction of travel. The universe already knows, and it has chosen the gentlest possible current for you tonight. Somewhere above your closed eyelids, the stars are beginning to appear, one tender pinprick of light at a time. Each one is older than every worry you have ever carried, and each one is perfectly undisturbed. Imagine that your breathing slows to match the slow blinking of those distant, patient lights. In and out, like tides moving across a moonlit shore that no human foot has ever touched. With every exhale, a small weight slides quietly off your chest and dissolves into the dark. With every inhale, a soft warmth spreads beneath your ribs, like tea steeping in a ceramic cup. There is no urgency in this breath, no schedule it must keep, no measurement it must reach. It simply breathes you the way the ocean breathes the shore, the way the sky breathes the clouds. And as this rhythm deepens, the ceiling of your room quietly opens into a velvet sky. You slip upward, weightless, wrapped in warmth, drawn gently toward that distant amber light. Far, far beyond the soft roof of our little blue planet, past the silver face of the moon, past the rust-red dunes of Mars, there's a grand and patient giant called Saturn. Saturn wears a crown of delicate rings, rings so thin and graceful they look like pale ribbons laid across the dark velvet of space. And around this great ringed world, a quiet family of moons turns in slow, eternal orbits, like lanterns circling a sleeping lighthouse. Among them, the largest and the gentlest of all is Titan, the golden one, the hushed one, the dreamer of the family. Titan is so far from us that sunlight, after its long journey, arrives there softened and thin, like candlelight through an old curtain. One of its days lasts nearly 16 Earth days, so time there moves with a slow, honeyed patience. Nothing on Titan is in a hurry, because nothing on Titan has ever needed to hurry. Its skies have turned above its lakes for billions of quiet years, and they will keep turning for billions more. Think of that for a moment, without effort, without thinking at all. Just let the idea settle softly inside you. An entire world where one afternoon can stretch across 2 earthly weeks of unbroken golden calm. An entire world where the wind moves so slowly that you might mistake it for the breathing of the air itself. An entire world that has been waiting not for you specifically, and yet somehow for you tonight. You do not need to understand it. You only need to feel how gentle such a place would be. Let your thoughts grow as slow as Titan's afternoons, unhurried, unmeasured, spreading across the quiet sky of your mind. There is no clock out here, no calendar, no tomorrow. Only the soft, unending present of deep space. Something very kind is beginning to happen to the way gravity holds you against your bed. The pull that has carried you through every step of every day is becoming a little gentler, a little more tender. It is no longer tugging downward with the weight of chores and errands and small human worries. Instead, it feels as if gravity itself has remembered how to be kind, how to cradle rather than to press. Picture a heavy velvet blanket being slowly lowered onto your shoulders by invisible, careful hands. It is warm, but not hot. It is heavy, but not crushing. It is thick, but impossibly soft. It settles along the length of your body with a patient sigh, matching every curve without any pressure. Your arms feel welcomed. Your legs feel welcomed. Your chest feels welcomed. Even your forehead feels welcomed. Every part of you is being told, in the quietest possible language, that it is safe to rest now. You do not need to hold yourself up tonight, because the blanket of this new, kinder gravity is doing that for you. Beneath it, your body feels both anchored and floating, both rooted and rising, both here and already far away. Notice how your fingers soften, how your palms grow a little warmer, how your jaw releases one more whisper of tension. Notice how the base of your skull rests more fully into the pillow, as though it finally trusts the surface beneath it. Notice how each breath sinks a little lower into your belly, unhurried, generous, and kind. This is how Titan welcomes its visitors, not with fanfare, but with the oldest, quietest form of tenderness. Now, very gently, allow your awareness to drift outward from the safe weight of your body. Not forward, not backward, but softly upward like steam rising from a cup of warm milk. The room remains beneath you, safe, intact, exactly where it has always been, keeping your sleeping self protected. But a part of you, the dreaming part, the curious part, is lifting into the cool silk of the night sky. There is no edge to this rising, no bump, no jolt, no moment where you must let go. It is simply the natural continuation of your breath, drawn outward into a wider and wider room. Above your home, the stars begin to open themselves to you like a vast, patient book. Each star is a tiny, steady candle that has been burning for longer than any human memory. Some of them flicker softly, as if whispering quiet secrets to one another across the dark. You do not need to understand those secrets. You only need to feel how unbothered they are by anything. They have watched every sunrise and every sunset of your life without ever losing their calm. They have watched every hard day, every worried night, every tear, and every small, quiet joy. And they are still shining, still steady, still there, waiting to accompany you tonight. Let your mind drift among them like a small paper lantern on a slow river of light. The air is cool, the silence is full, the direction is gentle, and Titan is still ahead. Ahead of you, far inside the softness of space, a tiny amber droplet of light begins to grow. At first, it is only a warm freckle upon the black velvet, no bigger than a distant candle flame. Then it becomes the size of a honey-colored bead, glowing with a light that seems to come from within. Then it softens into the shape of a small, round lantern hung in the vast, endless hallway of the cosmos. There is nothing sharp about this light, nothing piercing, nothing that asks your eyes to strain. It is the opposite of a bright screen or a morning alarm, the opposite of every harsh light you know. It is the color of firelight seen through closed eyelids, the color of an autumn afternoon turned down very low. The closer you come, the more you feel that this light is not just seen, but also gently heard. It hums quietly at a frequency so low it feels more like comfort than sound. The hum resembles the purring of a sleeping cat curled against your chest on a cold evening. It resembles the distant murmur of a kettle in a kitchen where someone you love is safe. It resembles the soft rumble of a far-off thunderstorm that cannot ever reach you here. And slowly, without effort, your breathing falls into rhythm with that deep, golden hum. In out, tuned to the patient heartbeat of a world you have never touched. Titan is drawing closer now, not by rushing toward you, but by opening itself to your arrival. As you float nearer, the amber lantern grows into a full, round world of its own. It is wrapped in a thick, luminous haze, as though someone tied a silk scarf around a sleeping sun. The haze is orange and gold, and the color of warm apricots left beneath a late summer sky. It softens every edge of the moon beneath it, so that no line is ever truly sharp. This atmosphere is deep and generous, far taller and thicker than the thin blue sky of Earth. It would take you a very long time to pass through it, and that is exactly the point. Nothing here is meant to be crossed quickly. Nothing here is meant to be rushed or pierced. The haze exists to slow everything down, to hush everything, to wrap everything in a single tone. You begin to understand, without words, why your breathing feels so comfortable in its presence. This world has the same temperament as a quiet library after closing hours or a cathedral at dawn. It has the same temperament as a grandmother's living room, where the clocks tick slower than anywhere else. It has the same temperament as the moment just before you fall asleep in a truly safe bed. Titan is, in a sense, a sanctuary, not a place where anything hides, but where anything weary may rest. And tonight, you have been quietly invited inside its walls of golden fog. The invitation is wordless, and yet it is unmistakable because your whole body has already accepted. Now, let's pause for a moment just outside that soft, glowing atmosphere. Hang there, suspended in the velvet dark, like a single ornament in a vast, silent room. Behind you, the stars are steady. Ahead of you, Titan glows like a lantern in a quiet hallway. Off to one side, the great body of Saturn rises slowly into view, calm and enormous. Its pale bands of cream and butter and faint rose drift across its face in slow, horizontal stripes. The rings stretch out from its sides like sheets of spun sugar laid flat across the dark. From this angle, they are delicate, almost shy, barely thicker than the edge of an old postcard. And yet they catch what little sunlight reaches this distance and hold it gently for you to see. You are surrounded now by three great sources of calm: the stars, the rings, and the amber moon. None of them are asking anything of you. None of them need you to act, to speak, to understand. They simply exist, which is perhaps the kindest thing any of them could offer. Feel how your chest softens at this idea. That existence alone can be enough without performance. Feel how your shoulders lower a little more, how your breathing finds another, deeper step down. Out here, no one is measuring you. No one is grading you. No one is counting your minutes. There's only this quiet triangle of light, and you, dreaming between its three patient points. Somewhere, far below the scene you are watching, your body is still resting on its familiar bed. It is breathing slowly, it is warm, it is safe, and it needs nothing more from you tonight. The dreaming part of you may roam as freely as it likes among these gentle worlds. The sleeping part of you is being cared for by the same kind gravity that is holding Titan together. Everything you might normally hold, lists, plans, concerns, replies, reminders, is being set down somewhere else. They are placed on a small wooden shelf just outside the door of this story, waiting patiently for the morning. They will not be lost. They will simply rest there unbothered, while you rest here, equally unbothered. You do not have to check on them, because the shelf is steady and the door is closed. On this side of that door, there's only amber light, only soft hum, only slow breath. There is only the cool silk of space, only the warm haze of Titan, only the patient rings of Saturn. There is only the wide forgiveness of a universe that has never once been in a hurry. Let that forgiveness settle into your bones like warm water soaking into a folded cloth. Let it ease the small knot behind your ribs, the small tightness under your eyes, the small ache in your mind. You are safe, you are held, you are welcome, and you belong to the quiet that is coming. Titan is glowing ahead of you, patient and golden, and it has all the time in the world. And now, as your breath grows softer still, the amber haze begins to reach gently toward you. Tender tendrils of golden light drift outward from the moon, curling slowly through the cold dark. They are not cold tendrils, though. They carry with them the warmth of a long-kept, sleepy sun. They move the way incense moves in a quiet temple, unhurried, patient, rising without any destination. One of them, a single slender curl of haze, finds its way toward your drifting dream self. It wraps around you with the softness of a scarf knitted by someone who loves you deeply. It smells, in the language of dreams, like warm bread and dry wood and distant rain. It feels like the first minute of lying down after a very, very long and tiring day. You do not resist. There is nothing in you that wishes to resist this tender, golden touch. Instead, you allow the haze to draw you slowly, slowly downward into the outer edges of Titan sky. Your descent is gentler than a feather falling through honey, gentler than snow falling in a dream. Every layer of haze you pass through hushes you a little more, like soft hands over a small candle. Your thoughts grow rounder, slower, sleepier, melting at the edges like sugar in warm tea. You are no longer flying. You are being carried, cradled, rocked by the breath of an entire world. And as your dream self sinks deeper into that luminous amber veil, the last of your wakefulness loosens its grip, and together, we drift quietly onward into the heart of Titan's endless, golden, sleeping light. Within that endless, golden, sleeping light, the world of Titan now slowly reveals more of its quiet, patient self to you. You are moving closer, and yet the word closer feels far too urgent for what is actually happening here. You are not approaching so much as being welcomed, the way a warm kitchen welcomes a traveler home. The amber moon ahead of you no longer looks like a distant lantern hung in a hallway of stars. It now looks like a great, round shoulder of soft light, turned gently toward you in the dark. Its edges blur into the velvet of space, softened by that thick, generous, honey-colored haze of air. There is no sharp line between the moon and the sky, only a slow gradient of golden breath. You feel your own breath match this gradient, softening at its edges, blurring into the room around you. Every exhale seems to paint a little more warmth onto the dark walls of the endless night. Every inhale seems to sip a little of that amber glow back into the quiet of your chest. There's a tender rhythm now between you and the distant moon, two soft lanterns humming together. Nothing is being asked of you. Nothing is being measured. Nothing is being rushed along any line. There's only this slow, patient meeting between one small dreamer and one enormous, sleeping world. And isn't it lovely to notice how your body, without any instruction, has already begun to trust this? You simply rest inside the unfolding, and Titan, in its ancient calm, rests graciously around you. As you drift a little nearer, you begin to sense just how large this gentle giant truly is. Titan is bigger than our moon, and even larger across than the small, quick planet Mercury. And yet size here does not feel frightening. The way a tall mountain seen at night is not frightening. It feels the way a grown elephant feels to a trusting child, huge but deeply, unmistakably kind. Imagine standing beside a very old, very patient creature whose heartbeat moves slower than your own. That is the mood of Titan, a mood of immense, unhurried presence wrapped in warm, golden fog. Its enormity does not press against you. Instead, it opens around you, like a room with high ceilings. You feel welcomed into a space where there is more than enough room for every one of your breaths. There is more than enough room for your whole tired week, your whole tired year, your whole tired life. There is more than enough room for every unfinished thought to simply lie down and stop finishing itself. Here, even the idea of bigness becomes a lullaby, a soft hand smoothing the blanket of your mind. You need not hold this idea tightly. You need only let it hover somewhere behind your heavy eyelids. Notice how the thought of such a large, calm world actually makes you feel smaller in a good way. Smaller, the way a child feels smaller when wrapped in a grown-up's warm, oversized sweater. Smaller, the way a candle feels smaller inside a quiet cathedral at the end of the day. All around this great, sleepy moon, the air is astonishingly deep, deeper than any sky you know. If Earth was a thin blue scarf of atmosphere, Titan is wrapped in a whole heavy, golden robe. That robe reaches hundreds of miles up from the surface, layer upon layer upon layer of tender haze. You cannot see through it all at once, and that is part of what makes it so restful. It is the opposite of a bright, empty afternoon where every distant detail is painfully sharp. It is closer to the feeling of standing inside a softly lit paper lantern, glowing from within. Somewhere deep below that robe of air, there are lakes and dunes and valleys waiting for you. For now, though, there's no hurry to see them, no urge to peek beneath the golden curtain. You are still hovering at the outer edge of this quiet world, breathing in step with its hush. Think of that thick atmosphere as a very long, very slow hallway leading into a sleeping bedroom. Every step down into it softens the light a little more, softens the sound a little more. Every step down into it makes the shoulders of the world, and your own, relax a little further. You do not need to remember how to walk that hallway. The haze itself will carry you gently. And is there not something deeply comforting in knowing that even the air here is patient with you? You simply float, and Titan's great golden robe of sky continues to wrap itself around your drifting breath. Now, from just over the amber shoulder of this sleepy moon, something pale and wondrous rises slowly. It is Saturn, the great ringed guardian, lifting into view like a soft, enormous morning. You have seen it once before from far away, as a distant companion in the quiet triangle of light. But here, from this closer vantage, it is larger, calmer, more intimate, like a face seen from nearby. Its surface is painted in the faintest bands of cream, butter, warm peach, and powdered rose. These bands move so slowly that they hardly seem to move at all, only to breathe in place. It is as though Saturn is a great bowl of slowly cooling milk, gently skimmed with golden light. You could watch those bands for 1,000 hours and never see them rush, never see them strain. They simply drift, broad and patient, across the vast curved cheek of a sleeping, ancient world. And there, reaching out from either side, stretch the thin, graceful rings you remember from before. From this angle, tilted nearly edge-on, they appear as a single silver thread laid across the dark. One delicate line, finer than any pencil stroke, drawn with infinite care across the velvet page of space. It is hard to believe such an immense world where something so quiet, so subtle, so barely there. And yet that is exactly why it feels so restful, like a whisper inside a very large, hushed room. Above the golden robe of Titan, Saturn hovers in soft, solemn welcome, asking absolutely nothing of you. If you could reach out your hand toward those rings right now, they would not feel hard or heavy. In a language of dreams, they would feel like the finest dust drifting through a sunlit window. Finer than flour, finer than powdered sugar, finer than the pale sheen on a moth's gentle wing. A crystalline dust of tiny ice flakes, each one no bigger than a fleck of quiet winter breath. And all of those flakes are turning slowly, slowly around the huge pale body of their parent world. They're not falling, they're not breaking, They're not worried. They're simply circling and shining. Imagine a single one of those ice flakes, hovering there in the cold and the calm of space. It is smaller than the smallest bead on the softest bracelet you have ever seen in your life. It has been spinning gently in that same slow dance since long before any human stood upright. It does not know your name, and yet it helps to weave the silver thread above your dreaming head. Hold this thought for one breath, no longer, and then let it drift away with the flake itself. Notice the beautiful tension between the enormous ring and the tiny mote, both moving as one quiet body. The huge is made of the small, and the small is cradled within the huge without strain. This is the hush underneath all of space, a harmony of sizes that has never once complained. And you, resting in your warm, familiar bed, are being offered a quiet place inside that harmony. Your eyes, even behind closed eyelids, seem to soften further as Saturn and Titan share the view. Two great lanterns now hang in your inner sky, one amber and round, one pale and ringed. Neither competes with the other, neither dims the other, neither demands any part of your attention. They simply coexist, like two candles burning on opposite ends of a long, polished wooden table. The light between them is not empty. It is full of calm, full of presence, full of slow time. It is the kind of light you might imagine filling the hallway of a very old, very loved house. A hallway where every footstep is already forgiven, where every door hides a friendly, sleeping room. You drift, unhurried, between these two gentle suns of soft color, held by nothing but their glow. There is no wind out here, and yet you feel carried, as though by a tide you cannot see. The tide is the tide of stillness itself, moving slowly through the great cathedral of this quiet system. It moves no faster than the slow bands across Saturn's calm face, no faster than your deepest breath. It moves no faster than the slow turning of a single ice flake within that silver, delicate thread. Let your body learn this tide without effort, without counting, without knowing how exactly it does so. Your shoulders already know, your jaw already knows, the soft spaces behind your eyes already know, and the wide, patient universe around you is, in its own way, equally relieved to share this quiet. Look down now, very gently, from Saturn's calm face to the great amber shoulder of Titan below. See how the moon catches the pale light from its huge companion and folds it into its own glow. The rose and butter tones of Saturn seem to melt into the apricot haze that wraps this little world. Where they meet, new colors appear, colors that no painter on Earth has ever mixed on a canvas. There is a tender peach near Titan's edge, softening into a warm, sleepy gold deeper within its air. There's a whisper of lavender along one curve and a faint, dusty saffron along another. Each of these shades feels like a different kind of calm, like different pages of the same quiet book. You do not need to name these colors. You only need to let them settle around your resting mind. Imagine them as the folds of a great blanket being gently draped across your chest and shoulders. Each fold a different hue, each layer a different warmth, all resting lightly upon your slow, slow breath. Beneath this many-colored blanket, your body sinks just a little more deeply into the bed below. Beneath this many-colored blanket, your thoughts slow to the rhythm of a lazy candle flame. Isn't it lovely how the meeting of two worlds in the sky becomes a soft quilt across your body? Out here, nothing is in a hurry to take this blanket from you, and no one will disturb its weight. You can rest beneath it for as long as your breath finds comfort in its many tender colors. Let your awareness slide, for a moment, to a single tiny point of detail in this immense view. Somewhere along the thin silver line of Saturn's rings, there is one particular shimmer of reflected light. It catches in your dream eye like a grain of glitter caught in the corner of a sleepy vision. That shimmer is made of countless icy specks, each one whispering its small share of the distant sun. One of them turns its tiny face toward Titan, and for a heartbeat, it mirrors the golden haze. And in that heartbeat, the whole of this vast scene folds itself into a speck no bigger than breath. The giant planet, the giant rings, the giant moon, all reflected in one grain of drifting ice. Then the speck turns further, and the reflection slips away, and the shimmer dissolves back into the line. Nothing is lost. Nothing is broken. Nothing has hurried. Nothing has strained against the patient order. This is the maybe secret of deep space, that the largest wonders hide inside the smallest, gentlest things. And the smallest, gentlest things carry within them the calm of the largest, quietest wonders. Your breath, right now, is one such small and gentle thing inside your warm and resting body. Let it carry, for a single slow moment, the calm of Saturn's rings and Titan's golden skies. Then let that calm spread outward again, filling your chest, your shoulders, your hands, your sleepy face. You are the tiny flake and the great moon at once, and both halves of you are at peace. It is worth noticing softly how none of these huge and ancient objects feel at all frightening tonight. Titan does not loom, it glows. Saturn does not tower, it hovers. The rings do not slice, they whisper. Space does not press, it opens. The dark does not threaten, it cradles. The distance does not ache, it breathes. Each scale of this scene has been tuned, as if by some kindly hand, toward the frequency of rest. It is as though someone had taken the universe and lowered every sharp edge by a gentle degree. Think of a dimmer switch in an old wooden room, slowly turned down toward a honeyed glow. That is what has happened to the whole sky around you, softened into a single restful tone. You're the reason it feels this way tonight, not because you demanded it, but because you arrived. When you arrive somewhere with a very tired heart, the world, in its kindness, knows how to hush. And space, old and patient as it is, has been hushing its travelers for longer than there have been dreams. You are simply the most recent dreamer to be welcomed into this ancient, gentle hospitality. There is nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to achieve, no test waiting behind the next moment. There's only this slow, luminous meeting of a small soft you and a vast soft universe. And so you hover here, suspended in the meeting place between Titan and Saturn, wrapped in amber light. Your breath has grown so quiet that it seems almost to belong to the moon beneath your feet. Your pulse has grown so gentle that it seems almost to echo the slow turn of those distant rings. Every small tension that still lingered in your limbs is dissolving, like sugar into a warm evening tea. Your thoughts are no longer racing forward. They're drifting outward like dandelion seeds on a soft wind. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to catch them. You do not need to count them. They will find their own soft places to land somewhere in the velvet edges of this quiet sky. The golden haze of Titan is leaning a little closer now, inviting your dream self to sink within. It is not pulling you. It is not summoning you. It is simply opening its soft, unhurried door. You can feel the warmth just at the edges of your awareness, like a gently heated room beyond a curtain. Your shoulders know, your chest knows, your heavy eyelids most certainly know that it is time to go in. There is no decision to make, only a soft yes rising through your body like warm breath. And as that yes rises, the scene around you gently tilts, turning Titan's vast golden welcome toward you. The amber world's atmosphere quietly parts like a long, heavy curtain drawn aside by patient hands, and with one more slow, trusting breath, you allow yourself to drift softly downward into the welcoming warmth of its endless, golden, sleeping haze. The golden haze receives your drifting form the way warm bath water receives a tired traveler at dusk. Its first touch is not a touch at all, but rather a soft change in the quality of the surrounding light. The cold velvet of space behind you begins to blur, its sharp stars blurring into softer, rounder glows. Ahead of you, the amber becomes richer, thicker, more present, more alive with its own quiet breathing. You are entering the very first, very thinnest layer of Titan's long and patient atmospheric robe. Here, high above the lower haze, there floats a gentle, bluish veil of delicate upper air. It is cool without being cold, the way fresh linen is cool against a warm and sleepy cheek. This thin blue layer drapes across the top of Titan like a pale scarf over a golden lamp. You drift through it slowly, so slowly that its crossing feels more like a memory than an event. Its faint, minty coolness brushes gently across your dreaming skin, sending a single soft shiver of calm downward. That small shiver is not tension. It is the body remembering how good it feels to let go. It travels from the crown of your head to the tips of your quiet, resting toes. And with it, the very last thread of the waking day unspools itself into the dark behind you. There is nothing left up here that belongs to hurry, and you have already begun to forget its shape. The blue veil parts around you, whispering you onward into the honeyed layers that wait patiently below. Beneath the pale scarf of upper air, the color of everything begins to deepen into amber and gold. It is as though a tall glass lamp has been slowly filled, drop by drop, with liquid sunset. Each small descent carries you a little further into that glowing, thickening, unhurried inner light of Titan. The atmosphere here is so much denser than Earth's that every movement must slow to match its grace. It is not that movement is forbidden, it is simply that hurry has been gently, lovingly made impossible. Picture a feather falling not through air, but through a wide, warm jar of softly colored honey. Its descent takes forever in the best possible sense, and no one is waiting impatiently at the bottom. That is how your dream self is falling now. At the pace of honey, at the pace of pure rest. Your body on the bed mirrors this rhythm, each breath lengthening, each pulse easing into a calmer drum. You do not steer your descent. You simply allow the thick, tender air to hold the responsibility for you. It supports your shoulders, it supports your hips, it supports the soft weight of your drifting head. It supports every heavy thought that has ever tried to hurry you across a crowded afternoon. And all of those heavy thoughts grow lighter here, as though soaking themselves clean in warm, slow gold. You do not need to watch them go. They dissolve at the edges of this patient, glowing bath. Titan's first true embrace is this one, a descent slow enough to be called a lullaby of honey. As you sink lower, the color of the haze deepens from early amber into something richer and rounder. It is the color of a candle flame seen through a pane of old, slightly wavy yellow glass. It is the color of apricot jam spread thinly across warm toast in a kitchen you once loved. It is the color of firelight reflected on the inside of a tent during a gentle, safe rain. It is the color that old books turn when they have been loved for very many quiet decades. You can feel all of these comforts softly layered inside the glow that surrounds you right now. None of them are sharp memories. They are more like warm, round impressions floating just behind your eyes. They do not insist on being remembered. They simply hum there, adding another note to the overall hush. Your breathing grows even slower, matching the depth of the color more than any sense of speed. In out, as though your lungs have finally found the exact tempo of this sleepy world. The haze around you is patient enough to breathe with you for as long as you may wish. It does not mind if you lose count because counting was never part of the arrangement out here. The numbers that usually tick through the back of your mind have nothing to hold on to anymore. Here there is no floor, no ceiling, no hallway, no corridor where a number might find a corner. There's only rounded, golden softness, gently cradling a rounded, softening you, sinking in a rounded, softening time. Around you now, invisible to any earthly eye, drift the tiniest, most patient visitors of Titan's sleepy sky. Scientists on our distant blue planet have given them a quiet, lovely name, a name like a whispered spell. They call them talons, and they are small, ancient molecules, born long ago of gentle sunlight and slow chemistry. Each one is impossibly small, smaller than anything you could ever hope to see with human, waking eyes. And yet together, in their countless, drifting numbers, they're the reason the sky here glows so warmly. Imagine holding one of them in your open palm, in the soft grammar of a dream only. It would not weigh anything at all, and it would not move, and it would not ask anything. It would simply rest there, shimmering with the memory of sunlight that touched it long, long ago. Billions of years ago, in the upper reaches of this moon's kind atmosphere, a tender meeting occurred. A faint ray of distant sun found a simple breath of gas and, very gently, rearranged its bones. From that quiet meeting, a new tiny thing was born, unnoticed, unhurried, unaware of its own birth. And that tiny thing multiplied, slowly, gently, over ages measured in the yawns of sleeping worlds. Those ages have carried it here, to this very moment, to this very drifting, glowing hush. It is older than every poem, every song, every dream you have ever known or heard of. And it is cradling you now in countless golden specks, like a whispered story older than time itself. Isn't it lovely to realize that the warm color around you is not simply light, but memory? Every amber hue in this thick atmosphere is a softly held recollection of ancient, gentle, patient sunlight. The haze remembers the touch of photons that set out from our sun a long, long time ago. Those photons traveled the immense dark between worlds, arriving here tired, softened, and graciously slower than before. When they finally brushed against the upper air, they did not shatter. They were simply kindly absorbed. And in their absorption, they became part of the talons, part of the haze, part of tonight's glow. So when you breathe in the golden color around your dreaming self, you are breathing in stored sunlight. A sunlight from an era before your grandparents' grandparents, kept safely here for this particular quiet night. A sunlight that has been waiting, unbothered by centuries, for a traveler like you to finally arrive. You do not need to thank it. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to deserve it. It simply gives itself, the way all truly old light eventually learns to give itself away. Feel your chest warming very gently under this idea, as though tea were steeping inside your ribs. Let that warmth loosen the tiny muscles around your heart, the small ones you rarely notice by day. Let it loosen the soft muscles at the base of your skull, where yesterday's worries often like to hide. Here, in the stored light of Titan, all those little hidden tensions quietly unfurl and begin to dissolve. The haze, now that you are well inside it, begins to feel less like air and more like fabric. It is not a rough fabric, not a scratchy wool, not a stiff canvas, not anything demanding or harsh. It is the fabric of a warm pillowcase that has just been pulled from a clean, dry basket. It is the fabric of a favorite shirt softened by 100 patient washes over 100 quiet years. It is the fabric of a grandmother's shawl kept folded beside a lamp in a small, familiar room. Imagine that fabric pressed very gently against your cheek, just on the side that always feels the cold. It is warm, but never too warm. Only the temperature your skin has always secretly longed to be held at. It carries a faint, kind scent, the scent of calm houses, of safe rooms, of rest well earned. Your dream self breathes it in, and your real breath, on your real pillow, grows softer in quiet response. Your jaw, which held so many words today, finally sets them all down onto that imagined shawl. Your tongue settles low in your mouth, as though resting in its own small golden hammock of air. Your eyebrows, which worked so hard at worrying, now smooth themselves into quiet, unlined arcs of calm. Every tiny facial muscle that usually remains on guard through the day finally releases its brave, tired post. Titan's thick, kind atmosphere is acting like a great, slow iron, pressing every crease out of you gently. And the creases, once pressed, do not return. They simply fade into the warm gold of forgetting. Deeper still, the golden light around you takes on the quality of a very large, softly glowing room. You feel as if you have drifted inside an enormous glass cube filled with warm, honeyed afternoon tea. The walls of this dream cube are not walls at all, only gentle gradients of amber, peach, and pale rose. There is no door because there is no need for one. Nothing is trying to enter, and nothing is trying to leave. You simply hang inside this luminous cube the way a slow drop of syrup hangs in warm, golden water. Every direction you look, near or far, offers the same unhurried glow, the same softened, sleepy hospitality. There are no corners here to bump against, no ceilings to press down, no floors to remind you of gravity. Time inside this cube moves at the pace of honey sliding slowly from the back of a spoon. It moves at the pace of a single snowflake descending through the inside of a softly lit lantern. It moves at the pace of a cat's belly rising and falling on a windowsill during a long nap. You do not have to match its pace. Your body has already, quietly, learned its gentle song by heart. Your breath is now the pendulum of this unhurried clock, swinging between amber inhale and golden exhale. Between each swing, there's a tiny, tender pause, a soft comma of stillness you had never noticed. In that comma, nothing at all is asked of you, nothing at all is measured, nothing at all hurries. You are simply resting inside a tiny golden silence, one after another, threaded gently onto the night. Now and then, the haze around you parts just slightly, like slow curtains stirred by a gentle, invisible breath. Through those small partings, you catch distant glimpses of even deeper, richer tones waiting far below. There's a glow down there, somewhere beneath the layers, patient as a banked fire in a fireplace. It is not hot, it is not wild, it is not demanding that you hurry down to meet it tonight. It simply exists, quietly promising, like a soft kitchen light seen through a frosted window pane at night. You do not strain to reach it. Straining has been left behind somewhere in the upper, bluish veil. Instead, you continue your patient drift, and the light below rises to meet you in its own time. Halfway between you and that distant glow, you notice small, slow eddies turning in the thick, golden air. Each eddy is a tender spiral, a quiet curl, a sleepy whirlpool moving at the pace of breath itself. They're not threatening, not rushing, not pulling. They're merely the way this atmosphere quietly stretches and yawns. Imagine them as the slow ripples on the surface of a deep cup of warm, well-steeped tea. They drift past your dream self without touching you, gifting only the faintest sense of their calm rotation. Your mind, watching them, begins to spiral gently along with them, slower, rounder, softer, kinder. And every spiral brings you a little closer to the quiet center of yourself, where no one ever shouts. Out here, among these unhurried amber eddies, there is no edge of anything that could possibly startle you. In this deep interior of the haze, your dream self feels almost like a swimmer in very warm water. Not the water of a pool, not the water of a river, not the water of any sea, you know. It is a kinder, gentler fluid, a glowing honey air that carries you without pushing, holds you without squeezing. When you turn slowly, it turns with you, wrapping around your shoulders like a loose, affectionate golden shawl. When you drift sideways, it parts around your limbs like warm mist around the prow of a sleeping boat. When you pause, it pauses, content to rest exactly where you rest, expecting nothing further from the moment. There's a great tenderness in the way this atmosphere learns your shape without ever trying to correct it. Your elbows, your knees, your curled fingers, all are welcomed exactly as they are tonight without any comment. Your body on the bed begins to mirror this total acceptance, limb by limb, soft joint by soft joint. The right shoulder, once tight, now melts a little more deeply into the pillow beneath it. The left hand, once curled, now opens slightly, as though offering itself to the gentle golden flow. The small of the back, which often holds a secret tension, begins to sink into the mattress. Your legs grow long and heavy, as though filled with warm sand brought in from a sun-washed shore. Your whole body becomes a soft, slow, welcoming vessel for the haze of Titan to pass gently through. And the haze, in its ancient kindness, treats that vessel as though it were the most precious of cargoes. It is worth noticing, once again, how deeply, entirely safe you are in this golden, sleepy place. The amber light has no sharp edge. The slow air has no cruel gust. The dream has no hidden door. Titan has been holding wanderers like this for longer than any world on Earth has kept its name. Its patience does not run out. Its warmth does not cool. Its glow does not flicker in the dark. The universe, with its huge, unhurried turning, continues its quiet work far above and far below you. You do not need to help it turn. You do not need to watch it turn. You do not need to understand. You may simply rest inside this patient glow as one more small, soft passenger of its enormous calm. Your breath is now so gentle that it seems to belong as much to Titan as to you. Your heartbeat is now so quiet that it beats in time with the slow pulse of the haze. Your thoughts, if any remain, are only rounded, golden shapes, dissolving like sugar at the edge of tea. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to decide, nothing you need to hold tonight. You have been invited into the very center of the stored sunlight of an ancient, golden moon. And every layer of this welcome has been tuned, lovingly, to the frequency of your quiet, resting body. And through the deepest amber beneath your drifting form, something calm and gleaming begins to reveal itself. A vast, still mirror waiting patiently in the gold, smooth as a sleeping breath across a darkened pane of glass. That vast, still mirror rises toward you through the final veils of amber, unhurried and impossibly serene. It does not rush upward to meet your descent. It simply becomes gradually, gently, more present to your dreaming gaze. At first, it is only a shimmer, a faint suggestion of something smoother than the haze surrounding your drifting form. Then it becomes a pale sheen, the way a polished silver tray gleams softly in a dimly lit room. Then it becomes a long, dark expanse, reaching outward in every direction like a patient pool of night. This is Kraken Mare, the great, calm sea of Titan, lying patiently beneath the golden sky above. Its name may sound grand and ancient, yet the sea itself is the gentlest body of liquid imaginable. It does not crash, it does not churn, it does not murmur the way the oceans of Earth do. It simply rests, wide and flat, breathing so softly that its surface seems almost perfectly, entirely unmoving tonight. You drift lower toward it, and the golden haze above begins to mirror itself within its quiet face. Two amber skies now cradle you, one spread above your dreaming body and one spread far below. And between them, suspended in the warm hush, you float like a small feather between two candles. Your breath, grown long and slow, seems to belong equally to both of these soft, glowing worlds. There's nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to reach, only this tender descent to witness. And Kraken Mare, calm as a sleeping thought, opens its enormous, gentle stillness in quiet welcome beneath you. It is worth pausing here in the warm air just above the sea to simply feel its stillness. The surface of Kraken Mare is smoother than any mirror that human hands have ever carefully polished on Earth. There are no ripples marching across it, no small waves chasing one another toward a distant amber shore. There is only one unbroken pane of liquid calm, stretching for hundreds of miles in every soft direction. Scientists on our small blue planet studied this sea from afar, using patient radio whispers through the dark. They expected to find tiny waves, little trembles, the normal, quiet breath of any ordinary lake at rest. Instead, their gentle instruments kept returning the same surprising, tender answer over and over again across the years. The sea was smooth, astonishingly smooth, smoother than seemed reasonable, smoother than almost anything found in open nature. They wondered how such stillness could exist within a world, without coaxing, without effort, without any guiding hand. And yet, Here it is beneath you now, as real as the pillow beneath your resting, quiet head. Kraken mare simply is this still, the way some evenings simply are this soft, without asking any permission. Isn't it lovely to know that somewhere in the universe, a whole sea has mastered perfect, peaceful stillness? Your own mind, watching from above, begins to learn from that sea without any effort on your part. Small inner ripples of worry find the example and, quietly, decide to lie down along the mirror too. Beneath the amber sky, a great calm teaches a smaller calm how to be even calmer tonight. Imagine, in the soft grammar of dreams, what it would feel like to touch that quiet surface. You let your dream hand drift downward, gently, the way a sleeping child's hand slips from a blanket. The liquid that rises to meet your palm is not water, nothing like the oceans you have known before. It is liquid methane and ethane, cold beyond any earthly cold, and yet, in this dream, entirely kind. It is astonishingly clear, clearer than any glass, clearer than any spring pool hidden in a forest. If you scooped a handful, it would look as though you had cupped a small piece of quiet moonlight. It would sit in your palm like captured air, like a silent poem, like a sip of pure hush. And then, with infinite softness, it would slip between your fingers without leaving any trace behind. No droplet, no stain, no wetness, no mark of its passage, only the memory of a gentle coolness. It would be like holding a beam of light in your hand and letting it quietly walk onward. Your dream self watches this small, slow gesture and feels something tender unknot inside your sleeping chest. Nothing here clings, nothing here insists, nothing here leaves behind a sticky residue to be dealt with. Even the sea itself knows how to rest upon a hand and then politely take its leave. What a relief it is, in the language of dreams, to meet something that simply comes and goes. You close your dream hand empty, and Kraken mare returns to its unbroken, patient, amber-reflecting, pristine stillness below. Now your descent continues, slower than a falling leaf inside a windless, golden, deeply quiet cathedral at dusk. The thick atmosphere cradles you the way a large, kind hand might cradle a drowsy, trusting small bird. Your dream body turns very gently as it drifts, so that your back rolls softly upward toward the sky. You become like a petal, like a page, like a pale ribbon falling through warm honey onto a table. There is no urgency in the turn, no correction, no resistance, no sense of being steered from outside. The air itself chooses this gentle rotation. The way sleep sometimes chooses which side you drift onto. Beneath you, Kraken mare grows wider and wider, filling your whole downward view with soft, amber-tinted calm. Above you, the golden haze closes quietly over your shoulders, like a blanket drawn up by unseen hands. You are being tucked in exquisitely between a mirror of sleeping liquid and a ceiling of stored sunlight. Your breath grows even slower, matching the enormous hush stretching in all directions around your drifting form. In a long inhale of amber warmth, tasting faintly of old firelight and patient, half-forgotten afternoons. Out, a long exhale of honeyed ease, carrying away whatever tiny tension still clung to your quiet chest. Between each breath, a small, sweet comma of stillness rests, like a dewdrop upon a golden thread. You do not count these commas. You simply let them gather, quiet as pearls upon the night. And somewhere inside you, a soft voice that rarely speaks whispers, "Finally, this is enough, this is enough." The shore of Kraken mare draws itself slowly, tenderly, into the lower edge of your dreaming vision now. It curves away into the distance in a long, lazy arc, like the rim of a great, calm bowl. You cannot see where it ends, because the amber haze softens every far horizon into a rounded, sleepy glow. The line between sea and land is not sharp. It is a gentle meeting, a kiss, a patient handshake. Tiny, slow eddies of liquid curl just along its edge, tracing soft patterns that vanish almost before forming. It is the lightest possible breathing of the sea, as quiet as a sleeping infant's open, trusting mouth. Behind that soft breathing lies a long, low strand of pale, golden grains, waiting with ancient patience. They shine faintly in the amber light, like tiny lanterns arranged in countless rows upon the shore. This is the beach of Titan, made not of broken rock as your home beaches sometimes are. It is made instead of fine, icy grains, each one a small frozen whisper of this old moon. They are cold in their own world, and yet, in the kind grammar of dreams, they feel only soft. Soft the way a handful of clean, sifted flour feels when let to fall between tired fingers. Soft the way the first snow of winter feels when it dusts your coat without any weight. Soft the way the tiny golden sand inside an old, quiet hourglass feels upon a patient palm. And onto that softness, your dream self is now preparing, unhurried, to gently, gracefully, impossibly tenderly come home. Your slow descent reaches its quiet conclusion with the softest possible meeting between dreamfoot and patient shore. There's no jolt, no thud, no sudden sense of landing, no small alarm of arrival at all. Instead, your feet simply find the grains the way a falling snowflake finds the shoulder of coat. The shore yields beneath you by the smallest measure, cradling each step with the gentleness of a pillow. A faint, tender sound rises from beneath you, so quiet that it barely qualifies as sound at all. It is the whisper of tiny ice grains shifting politely, making room for the traveler who has arrived. It sounds like the rustle of pages in a very old, well-loved book held in careful hands. It sounds like the hush of a long scarf being folded slowly into a cedar-scented wooden drawer. It sounds like the softest sigh of sugar being poured gently into a cup of warm tea. None of these sounds are loud, yet each one is deeply, quietly, indescribably comforting to your drifting mind. Your dream body settles its weight into the shore, and the shore welcomes that weight without any strain. Your shoulders drop one final notch, your knees soften, your back remembers how to rest without guarding. On your rail bed, far away, your sleeping form mirrors this arrival, sinking a little deeper still. The mattress cradles you the way this golden beach cradles your dream self under the patient amber sky. You are home in two places at once, and both homes are being kind to you tonight. You stand, if standing is even the right word, on the shore of that impossibly still sea. Your toes rest among the cool, fine grains, feeling their quiet company through the thin veil of dream. Around you, the amber haze glows like the inside of a paper lantern lit by a patient candle. Above you, the sky is one unbroken sweep of warm apricot, shading upward into deeper honeyed gold. Below you, the beach stretches away in soft, glimmering curves, each grain a tiny star upon the land. Before you, kraken mare lies down like a great silver blanket draped across the sleeping floor of Titan. Nothing stirs, nothing hurries, nothing calls, nothing interrupts the vast, tender hush that is gathered in this place. The only motion is your own slow breath, and even that has become almost too soft to notice. In the language of dreams, the world around you is holding perfectly still so that you may rest. It is a stillness chosen on your behalf, the way a parent stills their steps beside a sleeping child. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to protect it. You only need to receive it. Feel how your chest, already softened by the descent, softens further beneath the weight of this hush. Feel how your jaw, already loosened, loosens still more, as though the sea had unlocked its final hinge. Feel how your eyes, already heavy, grow heavier beneath the golden lullaby of this patient, sleeping shore. Titan has been waiting to offer you exactly this kind of stillness for a very long time. You lower yourself, slowly, to sit upon the fine, golden grains of kraken mare's patient beach. The shore receives you the way an old, well-loved armchair receives a weary reader at the end. It shapes itself very slightly beneath you, a gentle dip here, a soft rise there, custom fit to rest. The grains are cold in their own distant, factual world, and yet, in the dream, they are merely cool. Cool the way a fresh pillowcase is cool against a warm cheek on a tired summer evening. Cool the way the underside of a favorite blanket feels when you first slide beneath its weight. Cool the way a glass of water feels against a palm on an afternoon of long, quiet work. You rest your hands beside you on the beach, letting the grains sift softly through your relaxed fingers. They whisper quietly as they move, telling stories older than any language you have ever learned. Their stories are not sad, not urgent, not insistent. They are simply the hush of ancient, unhurried time. You do not need to understand them. You only need to let them pass through your open palms. Each grain is a small, patient moment that has been waiting peacefully for this precise, quiet evening. Each grain has watched more Saturnian dawns than any human heart could ever possibly hope to count. And now they gather around your dream self, content to share their company with one small, tired traveler. Who would have imagined that a shore at the edge of the solar system could feel so motherly? Let your awareness now drift to a single, almost invisible grain resting beside your dream hand's little finger. It is smaller than a poppy seed, smaller than a crumb, smaller than the tiniest freckle you have seen. Its surface shines faintly, catching the amber light and holding it politely for a slow, dreaming moment. Inside that tiny grain, there are layers older than the first step any creature took upon Earth. It remembers the earliest golden afternoons of Titan, long before anything on our planet knew its own name. It remembers the hush of countless methane dawns breaking gently across this very same, patient shore. It has drifted across dunes, ridden the slow winds, and finally settled, unhurried, here beside your resting hand. And yet, though it carries such long, deep memory, it asks absolutely nothing of you tonight. It does not want to be seen, or remembered, or written down, or named in any little book. It is content to shine its small amber shine, resting beside you in the quiet company of sleep. Notice how your chest softens at this, that something so old could be so deeply undemanding. Notice how a world where even grains of sand are generous must be a world of kindness. You are sitting inside that kindness now, held by a shore that expects nothing from your small form. And one small, ancient grain is keeping quiet watch beside you, the way a candle keeps its flame. In the soft grammar of dreams, it is the tiniest, gentlest guardian you could have ever imagined finding. You raise your eyes slowly from the fine, golden grains up toward the vast, luminous mirror of Kraken Mare. Its surface still holds that impossible calm, still reflects the amber sky in one unbroken, patient sheet of glow. Far across its quiet expanse, the horizon dissolves into a soft blur where sea and sky become one. You cannot tell exactly where one ends and the other begins, and there is no reason to decide. Between those two amber halves of the world, a single, tender thread of slightly paler light rests. It is Saturn, half hidden beyond the haze, lending its soft gleam to this sleeping, honeyed, infinite shore. Every element of the scene has tuned itself, quietly, to the gentle frequency of your slow, resting breath. The haze above, the mirror below, the grains beside you, all hum together in one hushed, golden chord. Your breath finds its place inside that chord, neither leading nor following, simply belonging to its patient song. You feel, with unmistakable clarity, that you are in the safest place you have ever imagined being. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing else you need to become, nothing you need to fix. You are simply a small dreaming form sitting on the softest shore of the softest sea imaginable. Titan nurses its ancient calm around you, and you nurse your own small calm in quiet return. And as your gaze drifts slowly leftward along the sleepy curve of the shore, You begin to see vast, smooth waves of pale golden sand stretching onward, layered like the slow folds of a great, quiet blanket laid down for endless rest. Those vast, smooth waves of pale golden sand reveal themselves slowly as your dream gaze turns along the shore. They stretch outward from the edge of kraken mare in long, parallel lines of soft, patient gold. Each ridge rises only gently, never steeply, like the slow breath of a sleeping body beneath a quilt. Each hollow between the ridges dips just a little, cradling small pools of even deeper amber shadow. Together they form a vast, quiet corduroy of land, combed lovingly across the belly of this moon. These are the dunes of Belay, older and calmer than almost any landscape you could ever possibly imagine. They run for thousands of miles in nearly perfect, unhurried parallel, like lines drawn by a sleepy artist. Seen from above, they would look like the marks of a wide comb drawn through thick golden hair. Seen from here, from the shore, they look like waves frozen in the softest gesture of rest. The amber sky glows above them, and the amber light pools gently within each quiet, sheltered hollow. Nothing about this view asks your eyes to move quickly, because nothing in this view is moving quickly. Your breath lengthens again, matching the long, slow rhythm of these patient, parallel, golden, sleeping ridges. Your shoulders settle further into the shore, already learning the shape of this new, tender horizon. Your heart, on its distant, familiar bed, slows to the tempo of a landscape that has forgotten hurry. And the dunes simply rest there, as they have rested for ages, waiting quietly for your gentle gaze. These great, sleeping ridges were not made by any sudden force, nor by any loud or hurried hand. They were shaped, instead, by the slowest, most patient wind that any world has ever learned to breathe. Titan's wind is so gentle that, on Earth, we would barely recognize it as wind at all. It would feel like the lightest possible stir of air near an open window on a calm evening. It would feel like the breath of someone sleeping beside you, rising and falling beneath a warm blanket. It would feel like the softest movement of a curtain in a room where candles are barely flickering. And yet, within Titan's thick, generous atmosphere, even that tender breath carries real, quiet weight upon the grains. Over ages far longer than any human story, it has rolled each grain a fraction of an inch, a fraction and a fraction and a fraction, until the grains gathered themselves into these long, golden ridges. Nothing was in a rush, nothing was measured, nothing asked for recognition, nothing needed to finish before any deadline. The dunes simply grew the way moss grows on a quiet stone beside a forgotten woodland path. They grew the way old trust grows between two creatures who have learned to sit peacefully together. They grew the way a lullaby grows in the throat of a parent beside a slowly drowsing child. Isn't it comforting to imagine a world where even the wind has forgotten how to ever rush? You are lying, now, inside the result of that ancient patience, held by its long, sleepy song. Let your dream gaze wander slowly along one single ridge, following its long, tender curve into the haze. It begins just beyond the pale grains at the water's edge, rising barely higher than your resting shoulder. It rolls inland in a lazy, generous arc, swelling softly, dipping softly, swelling softly once again. Each small change of height is gentler than the slope of a pillow beneath a tired, sleeping head. The ridge carries the amber light along its spine, like a long ribbon of softly glowing honey. Wherever the light gathers most, the ridge seems almost to smile, quietly, in its long, golden rest. Wherever the shadow gathers most, the hollow seems to settle deeper, like a cupped palm filled with calm. The line of the ridge eventually fades into the distance, softened by the thick, unhurried air of Titan. You cannot tell where, exactly, it ends because the haze has rounded every far edge into a sigh. And that is precisely the gift of this landscape. No hard endings, no sharp boundaries, no measurable horizons. Your gaze does not bump against anything. It only slows, softens, and finally lets itself drift politely loose. You do not need to see where the ridge goes. It is enough to know it goes on kindly. Your breath follows the ridge the way a fingertip might trace a long, comforting, familiar line. And along the rising slope, out along the falling slope, in out and along out along. Titan has just taught your body another small, sweet shape of rest, drawn upon the inside of night. Now let your awareness narrow, tenderly, toward a single small grain resting high on the dune's sleepy crest. It is no larger than a whispered thought, no heavier than a single drop of honey on a spoon. Its surface, though unimaginably small, still holds a faint, patient gleam of the amber sky above. It has lain in this exact place for longer than any story ever told around a campfire. Countless slow winds have passed over it, each one nudging it by an unmeasurable, forgotten measure of space. Countless soft nights have wrapped around it, each one deeper in hush than the one before it. And still it rests there, simply, without pride, without loneliness, without any need to prove its quiet existence. Imagine, in the soft grammar of dreams, that this tiny grain becomes, for one moment, you. Small, whole, complete, resting exactly where you belong, beneath a sky of endless, warm, apricot light. You do not need to grow. You do not need to travel. You do not need to become anything else. You are already shaped as perfectly as any grain upon this ancient, sleeping, patient, golden ridge of calm. Your breath becomes the soft breath that moves so slowly around this small, settled self inside the dune. Your body, on its faraway bed, feels smaller too, and that smallness feels deeply, tenderly protective tonight. Isn't it lovely to notice how being small can feel like being carefully held by a very large hand? The grain rests, and you rest, and the dune rests, and the whole world rests together softly. From that one small grain, let your awareness ripple slowly outward, the way a hush spreads across a room. One grain belongs to a whole dune, and the dune is made of countless such patient grains. One dune belongs to a whole field of dunes stretching across vast, gentle stretches of this moon. One field of dunes belongs to Titan, one small world wrapped in its thick, generous, golden robe. And Titan, in turn, belongs to the quiet family of moons that drift around great, ringed, patient Saturn. Saturn, in turn, is only one of several planets orbiting our distant, kindly, long-burning, honey-colored sun. Our sun is only one of countless soft lights scattered across the vast galaxy we call our home. Our galaxy is only one of many, many slow-turning galaxies drifting through the enormous, unhurried ocean of the cosmos. Each layer opens into a larger layer, and each larger layer simply cradles the smaller ones within. No layer pushes, no layer crowds. No layer asks the one beneath to hurry into something bigger. They all rest inside one another, like nested bowls stacked gently upon a quiet wooden shelf. They all rest inside one another, like scars folded softly inside a cedar-scented drawer in a warm room. They all rest inside one another, like lullabies hidden inside other lullabies, each one softer than before. And you, right now, are the smallest, gentlest bowl nested inside this vast, unhurried architecture of calm. Somewhere in that stack of quiet shelves, a small dreaming you rest without any strain at all. Feel how your chest softens at this slow unfolding of scale, instead of tightening the way it might. There is something deeply tender about belonging to something this enormous, without being asked to carry it. No layer of the cosmos is pressing its weight onto your quiet, resting shoulders, even for one moment. The dune does not need you to hold it, because the wind holds the dune with its long patience. The wind does not need you to hold it, because the atmosphere cradles the wind in its thick gold. The atmosphere does not need you to hold it, because Titan's ancient gravity keeps the whole robe aloft. Titan does not need you to hold it, because Saturn's huge, calm pull keeps it in faithful orbit. Saturn does not need you to hold it, because the sun tends it patiently across the dark of space. The sun does not need you to hold it, because the galaxy turns its great wheel without hurry. The galaxy does not need you to hold it, because the universe simply breathes in its own slow way. At every level, there's already something holding whatever needs to be held without asking for help. You are the only layer here tonight that does not need to hold anything for anyone, including yourself. Isn't it a quiet miracle to realize how much of the universe is already gently taking care of itself? You may simply lie here, small and loved, while every larger calm continues, unbothered, to do its patient work. Let your gaze drift, unhurried, from a single grain back across the whole vast field of dunes. See how they layer outward in soft, parallel, golden lines toward a softly blurred, amber horizon ahead. Between each ridge, a hollow of deeper honey rests, holding its own small, pooled gleam of light. The whole field looks like a great, long piece of corduroy cloth laid across the skin of Titan. It looks like the slow, patient ripples left behind by a tide that retreated many ages ago. It looks like the gentle trace of a warm brush drawn through the thick hair of a sleeping world. Birds would love this landscape if birds lived here for its long, smooth, unhurried lines of rest. But there are no birds here, no footprints, no voices, no small, busy creatures hurrying from place to place. There's only the land, the haze, the light, and a small dreamer resting at its quiet edge. You are not alone in the frightening sense. You are alone in the peaceful sense, the sanctuary sense. Alone, the way a single lit window is alone in a snowy village late at night, shining. Alone, the way a single slow boat is alone on a silver lake beneath a full, patient moon. Alone, the way a single candle is alone on a kitchen table at the end of a day. And the world around you honors this tender solitude by staying entirely, graciously still on your behalf tonight. The dunes watch over you the way old, kind friends watch a nap take place in a garden. Consider, for one slow breath, the long age of these dunes and the patience they have known. While they have been shaping themselves, whole civilizations on our small blue planet have risen and have quieted. While they have been shaping themselves, whole languages have been learned, spoken softly, and finally, gently forgotten. While they have been shaping themselves, countless children have fallen asleep under countless blankets across many quiet centuries. While they have been shaping themselves, rivers on earth have carved new beds, and songs have become lullabies. Through all of that, here on Titan, the wind has only nudged the grains by the smallest measure. Through all of that, here on Titan, the dunes have barely changed their shape at all beneath the haze. The moon has simply been doing its slow, private work, away from every hurrying, noisy blue day. And now, tonight, that long, patient work becomes, for you, a landscape of almost unbelievable tenderness. You are lying inside the result of ages of unhurried care, none of which was yours to give. You did not have to earn this landscape. It was already being prepared long before your small beginning. You did not have to build this shore. It has been combed softly for longer than you can remember. Isn't it comforting to rest upon something that was made, quietly, without you ever having to help? Your body, on its faraway pillow, exhales into this idea as though releasing a long-carried, invisible little weight. Titan's slow patience is, tonight, being gifted to you in the form of a vast, golden, sleeping blanket. Your breathing, by now, has grown so soft that it is almost indistinguishable from the hush around you. Your limbs, by now, have grown so heavy that they seem to belong entirely to the patient shore. Your mind, by now, has grown so rounded that its edges fade into the warm amber of the haze. Within this gentle dissolving, it becomes harder and harder to tell where you end and Titan begins. Perhaps your fingertips have quietly become small grains, resting among countless other grains along the dune's crest. Perhaps your slow breath has quietly become a small share of the ancient, unhurried wind of this moon. Perhaps your heartbeat has quietly become a small pulse of light within the endless golden robe of sky. None of these transformations are frightening, because none of them require you to leave your safe, familiar bed. They are only gentle imaginings, soft as smoke, drifting in the quiet air above your resting form. You can choose any of them, or none, or all, and the night will be equally kind. You can simply let the idea hover somewhere behind your heavy eyelids, like a candle across a still room. There is nothing you need to decide tonight about where exactly your small, dreaming self begins or ends. The universe has always been rather generous about the borders of small, tired creatures who need rest. Titan, in particular, seems especially willing to share its long, calm self with visitors who breathe this softly. And so, for this quiet hour, you and the dunes are simply two versions of the same patient stillness. Let one last gentle thought settle lightly across the wide, golden field of these sleeping, parallel ridges. Everything here has been placed exactly where it needs to be, without any effort on your small part. The grain on the crest is in its right place. The hollow beneath it is in its right place. The dune is in its right place. The shore is in its right place. The sea is in its right place. The haze is in its right place. The distant rings are in their right place. The stars are waiting. And you, nested inside this vast, unhurried order, are also exactly where you need to be tonight. There's nothing missing from this picture, nothing out of step, nothing waiting for you to correct or fix. The cosmos has arranged itself with the same tender accuracy as a single grain upon a single dune. Your breath belongs inside that accuracy, a small, soft measure matched perfectly to the hush of this world. Your body belongs inside that accuracy, a small, warm form resting within the long patience of the universe. Isn't it lovely to know that being small has, tonight, become a gentle form of being safely held? Being small means being cradled by every larger calm that surrounds your quiet, carefully sheltered, sleeping little form. Being small means being forgiven the weight of every worry that once tried to sit upon your chest. Being small here is not a lack of anything. It is a soft abundance of tender, unseen company. And from this quiet place upon the crest of the dune, we drift gently back toward the shore, where the largest lantern in the amber sky is already waiting, patient and kind, to welcome your drowsy, dreaming gaze. That largest lantern in the amber sky now settles fully into your slow, drowsy, upward-turning, dreaming gaze. It is Saturn, hanging quietly above the distant rim of Kraken Mare, vast and impossibly serene tonight. Its pale, creamy face glows through the golden haze like a great lamp wrapped in honeyed silk. No rush of motion disturbs it. No sudden glimmer distracts your eye. No sharp edge intrudes upon the calm. It simply hovers there, enormous and tender, as though it had always been waiting precisely for your arrival. Its light pours down through the thick amber air, softened, filtered, sweetened into new and unnamed colors. Peach settles along one curve of sky, saffron deepens along another, and sleepy rose glows between them. You breathe in these colors without needing to name them, without needing to hold them, without needing to remember. They enter your chest the way warm steam rises from a cup of tea held between tired hands. They spread beneath your ribs the way soft light spreads beneath a paper lamp in a quiet room. Your shoulders lower one more patient notch as that gentle light continues its long, unhurried descent onto you. Your jaw softens one more tender measure as the apricot glow folds itself gently across your upturned face. Your eyelids grow heavier still beneath the weight of sky, painted in the hues of forgetting. Saturn is not demanding to be admired. It is simply offering itself, wordlessly, to your slow, resting awareness. And your awareness receives the offering the way a pillow receives a heavy, drowsy, deeply grateful head. Notice very gently how Saturn seems to hang perfectly motionless against the amber ceiling of this sleepy world. It does not rise, it does not set, it does not drift across the sky the way your moon does. From a surface of Titan, the great ringed world stays almost fixed above one patient stretch of horizon. It has been hanging there in almost this exact place for longer than any memory could possibly hold. Imagine a lantern that never sways, hung from an invisible beam above a very quiet, very old garden. That is the way Saturn rests above your dreaming shoulders tonight, steady as a kept promise in the dark. Its pale bands of cream, butter, and faint dusty rose move so slowly that stillness is their true song. You could watch them for 100 long, slow breaths and see no hurried change in their calm order. Each band simply stays where it belongs, breathing in place, holding its tender color above the sleeping sea. Isn't it lovely to lie beneath a lantern that has no intention of ever going anywhere tonight? Your breath settles more deeply into your belly, matching the great unmoving patience of the sky above you. Your heartbeat quiets further, matching the slow, nearly invisible breathing of those long cream-colored horizontal bands. On your faraway bed, your body mirrors this stillness, sinking into the mattress with the softest possible weight. Nothing inside you feels the need to stir, because nothing in the sky is stirring to demand it. And so you rest beneath a lantern that has mastered the art of staying perfectly, tenderly, gently where it is. Stretching outward from either side of that enormous, patient face, the thin silver rings reach quietly across the sky. From here on Titan, you see them almost perfectly edge-on, drawn as a single delicate horizontal line. They look like a slender thread of moonlight stretched carefully from one amber horizon to the other. They look like a fine strand of spider silk catching a distant, gentle ray of afternoon sun. They look like the edge of a very thin page held sideways against a softly lit lamp. Nothing about them is wide tonight. Nothing about them is heavy. Nothing about them is loud in your dream. And yet that single silver line carries within it the memory of countless small, icy, circling wonders. Each unseen flake within that line turns slowly, quietly, around the calm body of its parent world. You do not need to picture them all. You only need to feel that line resting across your sky. Imagine lifting one finger in the soft grammar of dreams and tracing that line from left to right. Your finger moves slowly, the way a child's finger moves under a sentence in a beloved bedtime book. At no point does the line break. At no point does it flicker. At no point does it wobble. It is a small, perfect horizon drawn above another horizon. A lullaby sketched across the sleepy amber sky. Your eyes, even behind closed eyelids, rest upon that line the way a weary head rests on folded arms. Saturn has drawn a single silver underline beneath the evening, gently marking this hour as a quiet one. Feel, now, how lightly your body sits upon the soft, golden grains of kraken mare's patient shore. Here on Titan, the pull of gravity is far gentler than the pull you have always known on Earth. It tugs at you only the way a warm breath tugs at a candle flame across a quiet table. It tugs at you only the way a slow tide tugs at a small leaf resting upon its surface. If you raise your arms very slowly, they would feel almost weightless, lifting as easily as drifting feathers. If you pressed your palms lightly downward, the shore would meet them with the softest possible patient welcome. If you chose, in the grammar of dreams, to push yourself upward, you could drift like a small balloon. You could rise above the shore, above the dunes, above the low, golden mist with barely any effort. You could hang there in the honeyed air, carried by thick atmosphere and a kind, forgiving gravity together. But you do not need to rise tonight. Your dream self is already exactly where it wishes to be. Knowing that you could rise, however, makes your resting feel even gentler, even more entirely your own choice. Your limbs soften beneath this knowing, as though they have been quietly granted permission to stop working. Your back settles deeper into the shore, your hips loosen, your knees unlock, your ankles let go of holding. Even your fingers curled loosely at your sides feel the tenderness of being lightly, barely pulled down. Titan's small pull has become For you, the gentlest possible invitation to stay exactly, sweetly still. Within this lighter gravity, your whole body begins to feel like something closer to a slow, drifting dream. It is as though someone had quietly turned down the weight of the world by 1 degree. The heavy coat of the day, which often clings to your shoulders, has been lifted away entirely tonight. The small stone that sometimes sits behind your ribs has been gently taken out and placed elsewhere. The quiet anchor that usually presses against your hips has loosened its hold upon your resting frame. You feel lighter, yes, but not adrift. Lighter, yes, but not lost. Lighter, yes, but still held. The shore below you remembers how to cradle, even as the sky above you remembers how to lift. Between these two soft forces, your body floats, tenderly suspended, like a small boat on a windless bay. Your breath glides in and out with even less effort than before, unweighted, unhurried, beautifully unimportant to anyone. Your heartbeat knocks quietly against the inner wall of your chest like a slow drop into a pond. Every tiny muscle that once worked hard to keep you upright has found permission to simply rest. Your jaw hangs loose, your tongue lies low, your cheeks soften, your eyebrows smooth into long, peaceful arcs. Isn't it lovely to be held by a gravity that has apparently learned the meaning of the word tender? Your body, on its familiar faraway bed, sinks one more measure into the mattress beneath this gentle knowing. And deep inside your chest, a small, sleepy smile unfolds without ever reaching the surface of your face. The sand beneath you receives this lighter, softer weight the way an old armchair receives its dearest guest. It shapes itself quietly around your hips, around your thighs, around the curve of your resting back. It cradles your shoulders the way a folded blanket cradles a tired head on a long train ride. It supports your arms the way a loved one's lap supports a drowsy child during a slow story. Every grain beneath you adjusts by an unmeasurable fraction, each grain offering its share of the gentle welcome. None of them complain, none of them resist, none of them ask for anything in return tonight. They have been waiting patiently for some tender traveler to lean into their ancient, golden, familiar company. And you, in this drowsy hour, are exactly the traveler they have quietly been expecting all along. Your dream hands rest beside you, fingers loose, palms upturned, holding nothing, wanting nothing, needing nothing at all. Your dream feet stretch outward before you, soles half buried in the cool, fine grains of patient shore. Your dream breath slows further still, matching the hush of a chair whose creaks have long since faded. The shore has become an old, beloved piece of furniture, the oldest, softest seat in the entire cosmos. You could sit here through many slow turnings of the sky without feeling the smallest ache of strain. You could sit here while several Saturnian seasons drifted gently past without the slightest discomfort reaching your frame. Titan has offered you the deepest armchair in the solar system, and you have quietly, gratefully, finally accepted. Let your gaze drift slowly upward once more along the soft curve of Saturn's pale, patient body. The haze of Titan softens its edges, so that the great planet seems to breathe into the sky. There is no sharp rim where the world ends and the amber air begins, only a gentle blending. It is as though someone had taken the smoothest brush and feathered the edges until all borders disappeared. Your eye cannot find a line to rest against, because there is no hard line to be found. Instead, your gaze pools softly upon the whole, tender shape, the way warm water pools in a bowl. You are not looking at Saturn so much as simply resting your attention upon its slow, enormous kindness. It asks no questions of you. It requests no thoughts from you. It expects no opinions in response. It only continues to glow, the way a night lamp continues to glow beside a sleeping child's pillow. That is perhaps the closest comparison your tired mind can find in this quiet, unhurried amber hour. Saturn is a great night lamp, hung above the widest cradle the universe has ever carefully prepared. And you are the small, drowsy one nestled within that cradle, warm and utterly without any hurry. Your breath deepens one more slow measure beneath the soft light of this enormous, patient lamp above. Your heartbeat softens one more tender measure beneath the gleam of this enormous, loving lantern above. Nothing at all is required of you beneath its glow, which may be the greatest tenderness of all. Consider for one gentle, unhurried moment what it means to be watched only by such kind light. The light of Saturn does not judge, does not measure, does not compare you against any quiet standard. It does not note how still you are, or how slowly you breathe, or how far your thoughts drift. It simply falls upon your dreaming form the way a mother's gaze falls upon a sleeping baby. There is nothing in that gaze that asks you to perform, to smile, to wake, to respond. There is nothing in that gaze that records the details of your posture for some later reckoning. There is only warmth, only attention, only the quiet assurance that you are seen and still welcome. Beneath such light, the small worries of the day finally realize they have no audience to impress. They slip away from your chest the way small birds slip from a tree at the end of afternoon. They lift off softly, without drama, without farewell, without any trail of feeling left behind in you. Your shoulders, freed from their small weight, sink another patient measure into the kindness of the shore. Your chest, freed from their small pressure, lifts and falls with long, smooth, almost invisible, tender motion. Isn't it a quiet wonder to rest beneath a light that has never once wished to hurry you? Titan Sky has given you that light tonight, and your body has learned to trust it completely. And the dreaming part of you sighs, wordlessly, beneath the great amber lantern of this sanctuary world. Let your awareness narrow now to the smallest scale inside this enormous, cradling, gold-lit, patient evening sky. Imagine a single tiny speck of amber dust drifting slowly through the haze above your resting face. It is smaller than a breath, lighter than a wish, softer than the quietest syllable ever whispered anywhere. It turns gently in the thick air, rolling in long, lazy circles, catching the honeyed light as it moves. Saturn's pale glow brushes against it, and for one small instant the speck shines like a tender ember. Then it turns a little further, and the gleam fades, and the speck becomes ordinary golden dust again. Nothing is lost, nothing is earned, nothing is measured, nothing is remembered beyond the hush of this brief shining. You watch the speck the way one might watch a single flake of snow inside a warm lantern. You watch it the way one might watch a mote of dust drifting in a slanted afternoon beam. You watch it the way one might watch a single glitter of foam on the edge of tide. Your breath slows to the pace of the speck's patient turning, matching its long, small, unhurried revolution. Your mind narrows to the soft point of the speck, letting every other thought politely fall away. How beautiful it is to know that an entire sky can gather itself within one drifting tiny particle. How beautiful it is to know that one tiny particle can hold an entire sky's calm within itself. Small and large have traded places inside this sleepy hour, and both feel equally, tenderly held by you. And so you rest here, cradled between the gigantic lantern above and the small golden dust beside you. Kraken Mare lies mirror still before your drowsy gaze, reflecting the soft pastels of the sleeping Saturnian sky. The dunes of Belay rest behind your shoulders, breathing their long, slow, parallel, comforting, patient lines of gold. The amber haze wraps you from above, and the fine, cool grain support you tenderly from below. Every direction has become a different shape of the same kindness, the same hush, the same quiet welcome. You do not need to turn your head to find comfort, because comfort has already surrounded your whole form. You do not need to open your eyes to see beauty, because beauty has already settled upon your skin. You do not need to stretch your mind to understand, because understanding has already softened into simple, trusting rest. Your breath is long, your pulse is slow, your limbs are heavy, your thoughts are rounded, sleepy amber shapes. The universe outside your bedroom is still turning in its patient way, unbothered by any hurry at all. The universe inside your chest is turning in the same patient way, unbothered by any hurry at all. Both turnings have matched themselves tonight, two gentle wheels revolving together inside one great, calm, golden cathedral. And while you rest beneath Saturn's enormous, motherly light, something soft is beginning to gather far across the sea, slow and pale and pillowy, drifting into the horizon like the first quiet promise of a tender, distant rain. Something soft is beginning to gather far across the sea, slow and pale and pillowy, drifting gently forward. It rises above the distant amber horizon like the first breath of a sleeping giant's chest. You notice it only as a change in the softness of the far sky, nothing more than that. A faint pale blush that was not there a moment ago, shaped like a drowsy, unhurried cloud. It is not hurrying toward you, not racing, not rolling, not rushing in any anxious, hurried sort of way. It is simply drifting the way a thought drifts across a sleepy mind at the edge of dreaming. On Titan, clouds do not move in minutes, nor in hours, but in long, slow, patient days. They gather the way a soft idea gathers in the back of a tired, gentle, resting mind. They drift the way a feather drifts across a warm room, stirred only by the breath of sleep. You watch this first pale cloud the way one watches steam curl above a cup of tea. Your eyes, even behind closed lids, follow its slow unfolding without the smallest need to hurry after. The cloud simply exists, pale and pillowy and tender, shaping itself across the patient amber distance. And kraken mare, still mirror smooth beneath your gaze, reflects its pale form within its calm, dark surface. Two soft clouds now rest across your sleepy vision, one above the horizon, one within the sea. These clouds are not the white, busy clouds you remember from bright afternoons on your faraway blue planet. They are made of liquid methane, cool and quiet, drifting high within the thick, honeyed, patient air. They move so slowly that if you watch them for a full earthly hour, they would barely shift. They're the slowest weather in the entire solar system, the most unhurried sky anywhere in the cosmos. Imagine a cloud that needs days to finish crossing a single stretch of its own sleeping horizon. Imagine a cloud that does not know the word suddenly, has never heard the word quickly, does not recognize hurry. That is the nature of every tender, pale cloud drifting slowly above Titan's wide and patient golden seas. Their pace matches the pace of your slowest, deepest breath, the one that arrives just before falling asleep. Their drift matches the drift of your mind at this hour, rounded, unhurried, softened into shapes of calm. You do not need to understand them, only to let their slow shape rest across your drowsy gaze. They do not ask to be watched, they do not mind being forgotten, they do not hurry toward you. They simply drift the way a lullaby drifts through a quiet room at the end of evening. Your chest, already soft, softens further beneath the idea of weather that has forgotten how to hurry. Your shoulders, already heavy, grow heavier beneath the tender promise of sky that moves like honey. Isn't it lovely to lie beneath clouds that have apparently learned the deepest meaning of patience? And now, from the belly of that pale, drifting, pillowy cloud, the first tender droplets begin forming. They do not fall the way earthly rain falls, in quick silver lines across a busy afternoon window. They form slowly, gathering themselves within the cloud the way soft thoughts gather within a drowsy mind. Each droplet grows to the size of a small, rounded grape, plump and patient and clear as dream. Then, when each is ready, it begins its long, unhurried descent through the thick, generous, honeyed air. A single droplet here may take a whole minute to travel from the cloud to the quiet sea. A whole minute, in the soft grammar of falling, for one small round jewel of liquid methane. Picture that descent, slower than the slowest snowfall, slower than a feather through warm syrup below. Picture one such droplet hanging there, mid-fall, catching the amber light upon its small, rounded shoulder. It gleams the way a single bead of honey gleams upon the edge of a wooden spoon. It shines the way a single teardrop shines upon a cheek softened by a gentle, unhurried smile. And then, without ceremony, it continues its long, slow journey downward through the patient golden air. Another droplet begins behind it, and another, each unhurried, each tender, each perfectly round. They descend together in a slow, meditative ballet, spaced far apart, taking their time between breaths. Your own breath lengthens further, still beneath the sight of this long, soft, falling, amber-lit rain. The rain is not falling near you tonight, not upon your shoulders, not upon your resting dream face. It is falling far across Kraken Mare, upon the opposite shore, softly dimpling the patient sea there. You watch it from your own quiet beach, as though watching a gentle shower through a window. The distance between you and the rain is filled with amber haze, which blurs every droplet into suggestion. You cannot quite see each individual grape-sized drop, only the soft sense of slow silver falling. It looks like a pale curtain drawn very slowly across the far edge of the sleeping world. It looks like a quiet hand sifting fine powder from one high shelf to another below. It looks like the slowest, gentlest calligraphy being written in unhurried strokes across the distant amber air. And because the rain is far, it reaches your ears as only the tiniest, tenderest sound possible. A hush, a breath, a whisper, nothing more than the faintest suggestion of water meeting quiet water. You can almost miss it if your body were not already tuned so carefully to the hush. But your body is tuned, your breath is slow, your ears are open in the patient way of sleep. And so the small sound finds you tenderly across the wide, quiet, gently glowing amber distance. It settles into your awareness the way a soft lullaby settles into a child's half-sleeping ear. You're being sung to very quietly by a rain that has been singing for ages already. The sound of that far, soft rain is unlike any rain you have ever heard upon earth. It does not patter, it does not drum, it does not rattle, it does not splash, it does not rush. It whispers simply, and the whisper is the shape of sand being poured from one hand to another. Imagine cupping a handful of fine, warm sand in one palm and letting it slip between fingers. Imagine the tender, almost silent, almost nothing sound of grain sliding softly against grain in descent. Imagine that sound stretched across a wide shore, gentle and continuous, neither beginning nor ending abruptly anywhere. That is the song of methane rain upon the far side of Kraken Mare tonight, patient and hushed. sh, the slow syllable of sleep itself spoken across an ancient, quiet sea. sh, the softest possible breath of a world that has long mastered tender weather. sh, the lullaby being hummed by the oldest throat in the entire solar system. Your ears, even behind the hush of your warm, familiar room, seem to catch this tender refrain. Your breath falls into step with it, in and out, slow as the whispered sand. Your heartbeat softens further beneath this ancient syllable, matching its gentle, unhurried, unending patience across the sea. Your thoughts, if any remain, arrive rounded and small, like soft pebbles placed lightly upon a shore. And that single, tender sh spreads across your whole dreaming body like a warm blanket made of sound. This whisper is older, far older, than anything you could possibly measure with any human idea of time. It was whispering here before any creature on Earth ever lifted its head to watch the stars. It was whispering here before the first small songs were ever hummed beside the first small fires. It was whispering here before the earliest seas of your own world first learned to rise and fall. Long before any lullaby was sung to any sleepy child anywhere, this rain was already whispering tenderly. And long after every lullaby you know has been forgotten by every heart, it will whisper still. It does not know your name, It does not know your worries. It does not know your waking days. It simply continues its ancient, patient rhythm, as it has always continued, softly, 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 through ages. You are not asked to add anything to this rhythm, only to rest within its gentle, unending stream. You are not asked to remember anything about this rhythm, only to let it pass through your ears. Isn't it comforting to rest inside a sound that was here long before you and will remain? Isn't it comforting to know that the universe has been humming lullabies for an almost endless span? Your chest softens beneath this thought the way a pillow softens beneath a slowly descending, drowsy head. Your shoulders settle beneath it the way a blanket settles when finally drawn up beneath a chin. And one small, sleepy corner of your heart quietly joins the ancient chorus without ever needing permission. For a single slow breath, let your awareness narrow to one imagined, far, pale, falling droplet. It hangs suspended in the amber air, halfway between the pillowy cloud and the mirror-smooth, patient sea. Its shape is perfectly rounded, its surface perfectly smooth, its color the faintest, softest, sleepiest possible gleam. Within it, the entire amber sky is reflected in miniature, curved gently across its tiny, liquid surface. The pale face of Saturn rests within it. The silver thread of rings rests within it, all tiny. The whole horizon has folded itself into this one small, grape-sized jewel falling through the patient air. You watch it the way a dreaming child watches a snow globe turn slowly in a careful hand. And then, tenderly, without ceremony, the droplet reaches the surface of kraken mare far, far away. It meets the sea with the smallest possible kiss, a kiss too gentle to make any ripple. The sea receives it the way a mother receives a returning child, without fuss, without noise. The droplet becomes the sea, and the sea remains the sea, and nothing has been disturbed. Its brief, perfect existence simply folds itself into the larger calm, unhurried, unworried, accepted entirely without any condition. How lovely it is to rest within a world where arrivals are welcomed so quietly and so completely. Your own breath, at that moment, seems to fold itself into something larger in exactly the same way. And somewhere inside your chest, a tiny tension you had barely noticed dissolves quietly into the vast hush. Now lift your awareness outward again, from a single droplet back to the wider, drifting, unhurried scene. The pale cloud continues its slow crossing of the distant sky, unhurried, unworried, utterly unbothered by your watching. More droplets form inside it. More droplets begin their long, slow, meditative descent toward the patient sea. They fall in loose, scattered constellations, never crowded, never rushing, never arriving all together in noisy bursts. Each one takes its own quiet minute, its own small piece of the evening, its own tender journey. Together they form a long, soft veil of slow silver draped across the far amber horizon line. It is the gentlest possible curtain ever hung between a sleepy sky and a sleeping mirror sea. You watch this curtain sway ever so slightly, barely moving, barely shifting, barely anything at all tonight. It is the kind of motion that hardly deserves to be called motion, so tenderly does it drift. Your eyes, already heavy, grow heavier beneath the soft pull of this almost still, barely moving, faraway rain. Your breath, already long, grows longer beneath the spell of this slow, unhurried, patient, gentle falling. Your mind, already rounded, grows rounder beneath the hush of this ancient lullaby of whispered, falling sand. You are becoming part of the scene rather than an observer of it, softly, without any effort. The rain falls, the sea receives, the cloud drifts, the sky glows, and you simply rest between them. There is nothing for you to do inside this painting, only to be held by its gentle hush. Notice, tenderly, how every element of this scene has tuned itself to the pace of your sleeping breath. The cloud drifts at the speed of your slowest exhale, barely perceptible, barely anything at all moving. The droplets fall at the speed of your deepest inhale, long, smooth, patient, rounded, unhurried descents. The sea rests at the speed of your heartbeat at its quietest hour, almost unmeasurable, almost silent. The haze glows at the pace of your drowsy thoughts, warm, rounded, golden, blurring at every tender edge. The distant whisper of rain matches the pace of your softest sigh as you let each breath go. It is as though the whole evening had been composed, carefully, as a private lullaby for you. Every instrument of this quiet orchestra has been tuned, lovingly, to the key of your resting body. You're not performing within this music, you are simply being played by it without any strain. Your role tonight is to breathe and to listen, and both are happening without any effort from you. Isn't it a quiet miracle to rest inside a music that has never once asked you to sing? Isn't it a tender gift to be carried by a song that plays whether you notice or not? Your body, on its faraway pillow, sinks one more measure into the mattress beneath this gentle knowing. Your jaw softens, your eyelids grow heavier, your hands rest open, your feet let go of holding. And somewhere deep within your chest, a small, warm feeling spreads, quiet as honey inside warm tea. And so you rest upon the shore of Kraken Mare, held between the whisper and the sea. The pale cloud drifts, the grape-sized droplets fall, the ancient sage continues its long refrain. Saturn hangs quietly above, the silver thread of its rings stretched softly across the amber horizon. The dunes of Belay breathe their long, parallel lines behind your shoulders, patient and warm and golden. The fine, cool grains cradle your dream body the way the softest armchair cradles its most loved guest. Your breath has become indistinguishable from the breath of the world, long, slow, tender, rounded, unhurried. Your thoughts have become indistinguishable from the drifting clouds, pale, pillowy, soft, sleepy, slow across the sky. Your heartbeat has become indistinguishable from the gentle fall of distant droplets upon the patient sea. You are tonight a small, sleeping part of very large, very kind, very patient lullaby. There is nothing more for you to see, nothing more for you to do, nothing more to reach. The sound of that eternal whispered rain grows gentler still in the distance, softer than before, fading. Your eyelids, already heavy as warm honey, grow heavier now beneath the fading hush of the sky. The sand beneath your dream body grows softer still, welcoming one more measure of tender, drowsy weight. And as the far rain continues its ancient song, your breath slips into an even deeper, quieter rhythm, carrying you gently toward the next soft fold of this golden, sleeping, endless, patient night. Carrying you gently toward the next soft fold of this golden, sleeping, endless, patient night, your dream self now lowers itself one final measure into the welcoming shore. The fine, cool grains of Kraken Mare's beach accept your weight the way a long-loved blanket accepts a tired body. Your shoulders unhitch themselves from every small duty they had carried through the long, busy, faraway day. Your back lengthens softly against the patient sand, releasing the last hidden knot between the shoulder blades. Your hips settle deeper, as though the shore had shaped a small, tender hollow just for your form. Your knees loosen, your ankles unlock, your heels sink gently into the cool, sleepy, golden, drowsy grains. Your arms rest beside you, palms turned softly upward, fingers curled only by the smallest, gentlest measure. Your neck finds its perfect, unstrained angle, as though a pillow of amber air had slipped beneath. Your jaw hangs loose, your tongue lies low, your cheeks soften into the shape of quiet, sleepy trust. Your eyelids, heavy as honey, slowly sliding from a silver spoon, lower themselves one final, patient measure. There is nothing left for you to hold tonight, nothing left for you to carry across any threshold. The shore holds everything for you now, every small weight, every quiet ache, every tender, lingering thought. Your breath grows even longer, even softer, even more indistinguishable from the slow breath of this moon. And somewhere inside your resting chest, a quiet door simply opens, and then another still. Above you, the amber sky holds perfectly still, painted in hues no earthly painter has ever mixed. The pale face of Saturn continues its patient, unmoving watch above the far curve of the sleeping horizon. The silver thread of its rings stretches across the drowsy heavens like a soft underline beneath evening. The pale, pillowy cloud drifts on, its far whisper of rain fading into the tenderest, quietest hush. Kraken mare mirrors every gentle color back toward the sky, doubling the calm upon itself endlessly. The dunes of Belay breathe their long, parallel golden lines behind you, patient as always, unchanging. Every element of this landscape has, over countless ages, practiced being exactly, perfectly, tenderly still for this moment. Nothing here needs to move quickly, because nothing here has ever known the shape of hurry tonight. Even time itself seems to slow within the thick, honeyed atmosphere, stretching each second into something softer. A single moment here lasts the way a single sip of warm tea lasts on a cold evening. A single breath here lasts the way a single lullaby lasts in a candlelit nursery at dusk. A single heartbeat here lasts the way a single snowflake lasts upon a warm, mittened, sleeping palm. You feel this slowing, not as a thought, but as a tenderness spreading through your whole resting body. Your own inner clock, once ticking faithfully through the day, softens its hands and forgets its numbers. And in the place of time, there's only this quiet, golden, unmeasured, patient, beautiful, endless now. Far, far above this scene, if your dreaming awareness were to drift softly upward, you would remember. You would remember that Titan itself is moving slowly, patiently, in a great, faithful circle around Saturn. You would remember that Saturn is moving slowly, patiently, in a great, faithful circle around our sun. You would remember that our sun is moving slowly, patiently, around the vast, quiet center of the galaxy. You would remember that the galaxy itself is drifting slowly, patiently, through the great ocean of the cosmos. And yet none of this motion feels rushed, none of it strains, none of it hurries anywhere at all. Each orbit is a long, gentle waltz, danced at the pace of honey sliding from a quiet spoon. Each turning is a tender revolution, measured in breaths rather than in any harsh, demanding, ticking measure. The moon circles the planet the way a mother circles a sleeping cradle, softly, without any sound. The planet circles the star the way a candle circles its flame, calmly, holding its patient light. The star circles the galaxy the way a small boat circles a quiet harbor, drifting, gently tied. The galaxy turns through the cosmos the way a great, patient wheel turns beneath a tender hand. Everything is moving, and yet nothing is rushing, and that is the quiet miracle of this night. You are being carried along with every one of these long, graceful, unhurried, patient, faithful, tender dances. And you do not need to feel any of them, because they are already carrying you perfectly. Isn't it a soft wonder to realize that even while you lie perfectly still, you are traveling? Even while your body rests upon its familiar bed, your whole planet is drifting through the cosmos. Even while your breath grows quiet, the sun is carrying its small family along the galaxy's slow curve. Even while your heart softens, the galaxy is turning its great, patient wheel through the velvet dark. And none of this requires any effort from you. Not a single thought, not a single quiet wish. The universe has already agreed to carry you tonight, without asking anything in return for its kindness. You may rest entirely, knowing that every larger motion is already held by something larger still and gentler. The grain is held by the dune is held by the moon by the planet is held by the star is held by the galaxy by more. And somewhere within this vast, nested architecture of tender holding, your small dreaming form is also held. held by the mattress, held by the room, held by the house, held by the patient world, held by the atmosphere, held by gravity, held by the long, kind arms of a universe at peace. There's nowhere you could fall tonight, because every layer of everything is already catching you softly. There's nothing you could lose tonight, because every layer of everything is already keeping you whole. How lovely to simply rest inside a cosmos that has arranged itself into one enormous, tender, steady cradle. Notice now how your breath has grown so soft it seems to belong to kraken mare itself. Each inhale rises within you the way the patient tide of this sea rises along its shore. Each exhale falls within you the way the patient tide of this sea recedes from its shore. And out the long, slow, unhurried breathing of a moon that has forgotten hurry. You're no longer breathing Titan's air, so much as Titan is breathing quietly alongside you. Your chest lifts in rhythm with the sea. Your chest falls in rhythm with the sea. Your belly softens as the tide softens. Your belly eases as the tide eases beneath the haze. There is no line between your breath and the sea's breath, only one long, shared, gentle rhythm. The shore rises and falls infinitesimally with each slow cycle, as though rocked by your own resting lungs. The distant cloud drifts a fraction with each slow cycle, as though stirred by your own quiet sigh. The amber haze glows a fraction brighter with each slow cycle, as though warmed by your own tender breath. You have become a small, soft instrument within the orchestra of this ancient, sleeping, patient, golden world. Your breath is its softest string. Your heartbeat is its quietest drum. Your stillness is its gentlest hush. And the orchestra plays on, unhurried, carrying you deeper into the long, quiet music of the night. There is nothing for you to perform, only to be held by the lullaby you have quietly joined. Above you, Saturn hangs like a great, warm lamp above the widest cradle in the entire cosmos. Its soft, butter and rose light falls through the amber haze and settles upon your drowsy, resting face. The light does not wake you, it only warms you, the way firelight warms a sleeping child's cheek. The light does not brighten you, it only softens you, the way dusk softens the edges of a room. The light does not watch you, it only keeps you company, the way a night lamp keeps company. You feel its warmth spreading slowly across your forehead, easing the last faint line between your brows. You feel its warmth pooling gently upon your eyelids, weighting them further into drowsy, tender, unhurried stillness. You feel its warmth drifting softly along your cheeks, loosening the small muscles that often hold smile. You feel its warmth settling quietly upon your lips, which part just slightly in the shape of rest. You feel its warmth lingering kindly upon your jaw, which has finally forgotten how to clench tonight. You feel its warmth spreading down your throat, down your chest, down your belly, down your legs. Every part of your dreaming form receives this gentle, patient, motherly light from the great lamp above. There is no corner of you left unwarmed, no small place left uncomforted, no quiet ache left unheld. Saturn has become your bedside lamp tonight, hung across the amber cosmos just for your tender rest. And your whole body, both here upon the shore and there upon the bed, exhales one long gratitude. Let your awareness narrow once more, tenderly, to a single small grain of golden sand beside you. It rests near the tip of your dream hands, relaxed, half-curled, softly open, unhurried, resting, dreaming little finger. This grain is not the same as the one you noticed before. It is a new, quiet companion. It has lain here, in this exact spot, through ages beyond the count of any gentle thought. It has watched the same pale face of Saturn hang above the same patient amber horizon endlessly. It has listened to the same soft whisper of distant rain across the same unhurried mirror sea. It has felt the same tender wind nudge it by the smallest fractions through the long, slow ages. And tonight, without any fuss, it simply rests beside your hand, sharing the hush as a friend. It does not need to speak. The hush itself is the language between you two tonight. It does not need to move. The stillness itself is the gesture exchanged between you two tonight. It does not need to shine. The amber light upon its small, patient surface is enough tonight. You and the grain are the same size, in a sense, inside this vast, sleeping, tender cosmos. Both of you are small, both of you are loved, both of you are exactly where you belong. Both of you are resting, without strain, beneath the great, kind lamp of the distant ringed world. And neither of you needs to do anything tonight except share the softness of this ancient hour. From that single grain, let your awareness ripple outward once more, softly, like breath across warm tea. The grain belongs to a small patch of shore, which belongs to the wider curve of Kraken Mare. The wider curve belongs to the whole patient sea, which belongs to the golden skin of Titan. Titan belongs to the quiet family of moons circling the great, ringed body of sleeping Saturn above. Saturn belongs to the small, tender family of planets orbiting our long-burning, honey-colored, patient, kindly sun. Our sun belongs to one spiral arm of the galaxy, drifting slowly through the vast velvet ocean. Our galaxy belongs to a small, quiet cluster of galaxies turning gently within the wider, patient cosmos. The cluster belongs to something larger still, and that larger something belongs to something larger still. At every scale, something smaller rests safely inside something larger, without strain, without hurry, without any fear. At every scale, something larger cradles something smaller softly, without pressure, without demand, without any expectation. You are nested inside this vast, tender architecture, the smallest warm bowl inside the quietest wooden cabinet. And the cabinet itself is nested inside a room, inside a house, inside the patient, unhurried cosmos. Everything is in its place, everything is being held, everything is exactly where it needs to rest. You do not need to understand this, only to feel it spreading warmly through your drowsy chest. And your body, both here and there, sinks one more tender measure into the kindness of holding. Feel now how the edges of your dreaming form have begun to soften into the amber haze. Your fingertips blur gently into the cool, golden grains beneath them, no longer quite ending where skin ends. Your toes blur gently into the shore, no longer quite distinguishable from the patient sand supporting them. Your shoulders blur gently into the soft, honeyed air above them, no longer quite needing firm outlines. Your face blurs gently into the amber light falling upon it, no longer quite needing any definition. Your breath blurs gently into the breath of the sea, no longer quite distinguishable from its slow tide. Your heartbeat blurs gently into the soft drift of distant droplets, no longer quite bound to your chest. Your thoughts blur gently into the drifting pale cloud, no longer quite insisting on any shape of their own. You are not disappearing tonight. You are simply being welcomed into the wider hush of this sleeping world. The borders between you and Titan have grown as soft as the borders between tea and steam. The borders between you and Saturn have grown as soft as the borders between candle and lamplight. The borders between you and the cosmos have grown as soft as the borders between dream and sleep. How lovely it is to discover that letting go feels so much like being tenderly, completely welcomed. How lovely it is to discover that melting softly into calm is the gentlest form of being found. And every small border that quietly dissolves tonight leaves behind a little more room for tender rest. And so you rest here, dissolve gently into the long, quiet music of this sleeping, golden world. The sea breathes, the cloud drifts, the rain whispers far away, the dunes hold their patient lines. The lamp of Saturn watches warmly. The silver thread of rings rests softly across the amber sky above. The grains beside your hand keep their quiet company. The haze wraps you in its honeyed blanket. The cosmos turns its great, unhurried wheel, and your small breath turns gently along with it. Everything is exactly as it should be. Nothing is missing, nothing is pressing, nothing is calling your name. You are entirely held, entirely welcome, entirely safe within this vast, tender, ancient, sleeping, golden sanctuary tonight. Your eyelids rest fully now. Your breath flows softly now. Your whole body drifts deeper now. And as your awareness softens further still, the story itself begins to loop gently back to its beginning. A tender voice, even softer than before, is already waiting at the edge of the next hush. It will carry you once more through the velvet dark, through the amber haze, through the sleepy gold. It will carry you once more past Saturn's calm, past the patient sea, past the golden dunes. It will carry you once more, quieter than this time, softer than this time, gentler than before. And you may follow, or you may stay exactly here, or you may drift somewhere between the two. Either way, Titan is holding you now, and the golden haze is already humming the next lullaby. And the golden haze is already humming the next lullaby, drawing you softly into its first tender return. The voice that carries you now has lowered itself by one gentle notch, quieter than before. It moves the way candlelight moves across the ceiling of a nursery long after the child has slept. It moves the way steam moves above a forgotten cup of tea left on a warm windowsill. It moves the way the last note of a lullaby lingers inside the quiet air of a bedroom. You do not need to follow it closely, only to let it settle somewhere behind your eyelids. The shore of Kraken Mare quietly dissolves behind your drifting form, softening into amber mist once more. You are lifted barely, almost imperceptibly, back into the honeyed air above the sleeping patient moon. There is no jolt in this rising, no sense of leaving anything behind, no small ache of parting. You are simply being turned like a page in a very old and very beloved bedtime book. The golden haze welcomes you again, folding itself around your dream shoulders the way a shawl might fold. Above you, Saturn still hangs in its ancient, unmoving hush, patient as a kept promise tonight. Below you, a new quiet body of calm begins to reveal itself through the thinning amber light. It is another sea, smaller, shyer, sleeping even more deeply than the one you have just left. And its name arrives in your dreaming ear as softly as a feather landing on warm snow. Its name is Mare, the younger, quieter sister of the great golden mirror you remember. She rests at the northern pole of Titan, tucked into the crown of this patient, sleeping world. Her shores are narrower, her surface smaller, her presence shyer than the vast expanse of her sister. She's the kind of sea that speaks only in whispers, if she speaks at all tonight. Her waters are deeper, though deeper than any radio whisper from Earth has ever been able to measure. If Kraken is a wide, open palm resting flat upon the moon, Ligeia is a cupped hand holding something precious, something quiet, something never quite shown to anyone who rushes. You drift slowly above her now, through amber air grown thinner, cooler, paler in its golden glow. The haze here is the color of weak tea, of apricot cream gone quiet, of a fading autumn afternoon. It wraps you still, but more lightly, the way a thin blanket wraps a body already warm. Below, Ligeia's surface glimmers faintly, holding a single soft reflection of the distant pale, ringed lamp. Her stillness is even deeper than her sister's, if such a thing can even be imagined. It is the stillness of a held breath in a cathedral, the hush before a first whispered word. It is the stillness of a small jewel box closed gently upon a single candlelit evening. And you drift above her quietly, your breath matching the unmoving calm of her hidden depths. There is something tender about meeting the younger sister of a sea you have already befriended tonight. Ligeia does not compete with Kraken, does not strive to be bigger, does not ask for more attention. She simply rests in her own small, shy corner of this sleeping moon, content to be overlooked. And yet here you are, arriving above her with a breath so soft she hardly notices your presence. Her surface does not stir, her edges do not ripple, her calm does not shift by any measure. She has been resting here, undisturbed, for longer than any small human word has ever existed. The tender liquid within her is the same clear methane and ethane you remember from before tonight. But here it feels even quieter, even more held, even more cradled by the patient polar shores. Imagine a small bowl of clear water set upon a table in a room where no one moves. Imagine that bowl holding its surface perfectly still, reflecting only the ceiling above in tender silence. That is Ligeia tonight, a small patient bowl at the top of a sleeping, unhurried, golden world. You drift above her the way a thought drifts above a drowsy mind, just before sleep closes in. You do not need to descend to her. You do not need to touch her. You do not need to know her. It is enough simply to pass above her hush, sharing one slow breath with her stillness. And she, in her shy way, seems to breathe a tender thank you back into the amber air. Beyond Ligeia, the land begins to rise into soft, rounded shoulders of pale, sleeping polar ice. These are the northern mountains of Titan, lower and gentler than any mountains you might know on Earth. They do not tower, they do not bristle, they do not cut against the sky with any sharp ambition. They roll, instead, like the slow shoulders of a great, sleeping creature beneath a thick amber quilt. Their peaks are rounded, softened by the patient atmosphere, blurred by the gentle haze that loves them. And along their crowns, a fine, pale dusting glimmers faintly in the distant light of Saturn above. This is the methane frost, the tender polar snow of Titan, settled softly upon each quiet summit. It looks like powdered sugar sifted carefully across the top of a great, warm, honeyed cake. It looks like the finest flour dusted along the ridge of a loaf cooling on a windowsill. It looks like the pale shimmer of a single breath of winter resting upon a sleeping shoulder. You drift slowly toward these gentle mountains, pulled only by the softest current of the golden air. There is no effort in the approach, no urgency, no sense of distance left to cover tonight. The mountains simply grow a little nearer with each slow, unhurried breath you share with the sky. And their pale, frosted crowns rise to meet you the way a welcome rises to meet a friend. How tender it is to find that even the mountains here have chosen to be gentle creatures. They do not demand to be climbed. They do not challenge your gaze. They do not cast harsh shadows. They simply lie along the northern horizon like a long, sleeping line of soft, powdered shoulders. The amber light pools warmly in the hollows between them, filling each quiet valley with honeyed calm. The pale frost gleams coolly upon their crowns, reflecting the distant ringed lamp in tiny, tender flecks. Between warmth and coolness, between amber and pale, these mountains breathe a perfectly balanced, sleepy, patient hush. You feel this balance settle into your own body as you drift softly above their rounded forms. Your chest holds amber warmth, your forehead holds cool, pale calm, and between them your breath flows long. In warm, out cool, in warm, out cool, the gentle weather of your own resting body. You have become a small mountain yourself, tucked under your blanket, crowned with the coolness of the pillow. Your shoulders rise softly beneath the quilt the way these peaks rise softly beneath the amber sky. Your whole form has learned the shape of sleeping mountains tonight, without any instruction at all required. Isn't it lovely to discover that your body already knew how to be a gentle, sleeping peak? Titan's polar mountains have simply reminded you of a shape you have always, quietly, known how to hold. And your breath deepens one more patient measure beneath this soft, rounded, powdered, sleepy recognition of self. Now and then, a tender wind stirs within the thick amber air above the frosted gentle peaks. It is not a strong wind, not a cold wind, not a wind that would ever disturb your rest. It moves the way a long, slow sigh moves through the room of a sleeping, loved person. It moves the way a curtain moves when a window has been opened, just a small crack. And within this tender wind, tiny flakes of methane ice are lifted softly from the powdered summits. They rise into the golden air, small, pale, almost weightless, dancing slowly in the honeyed light above. They drift the way dust drifts in a slanted afternoon beam across a quiet, much-loved old library. They drift the way fine powdered sugar drifts from a spoon held gently above a warm dessert. They drift the way the smallest snowflakes drift through the porch light on the quietest winter evenings. You watch them without strain, your dream eyes following their slow ballet through the amber, unhurried, patient sky. Each flake is its own small dancer, turning softly, catching the distant ringed light upon its tiny surface. Each flake shines for a heartbeat, then turns, then dims, then shines again, unhurried and entirely free. They ask nothing of you, expect nothing from you, and yet they dance exactly where your gaze rests. How lovely to lie beneath a sky where even the smallest ice flakes know how to dance. And your own breath matches their rhythm, slow, round, turning softly within the quiet hush of night. Let your awareness narrow, tenderly, to a single one of these pale, drifting, powdered ice flakes. It is smaller than the grain of sand that lay beside your hand upon the distant shore. It is lighter than a single wish whispered into the warm air above a birthday candle tonight. Its surface is faceted with tiny, invisible edges, each one catching the amber light in its own way. As it turns, the light travels across its small body like a slow wave across a shore. For one heartbeat, it shines with the warmth of Saturn's lamp reflected through the honeyed, golden haze. For the next heartbeat, it dims into the softest pale gray, resting unseen within the patient sky. Then it turns again, and again it shines, and again it dims, and again it shines softly. This tiny ballet continues for as long as the tender wind chooses to hold the flake aloft. It is not performing for anyone. It is not showing off. It is not reaching toward any destination. It is simply turning, simply shining, simply dimming, simply being one small dancer within a great calm. Your breath slows to the rhythm of its turning, matching inhale to shine and exhale to dim. Your heartbeat softens into the rhythm of its dance, quiet as the flake itself within the haze. And you feel a small, warm tenderness rise inside your chest at the thought of such quiet dancers. The universe, even in its tiniest corners, has apparently learned how to dance itself to sleep tonight. From that single flake, lift your awareness outward again to the whole soft drift of them together. There are many, though not crowded, spaced tenderly across the amber sky above the powdered mountain crowns. Together they form a slow, pale veil of drifting shine, layered gently upon the honeyed patient light. It looks like the softest possible snowfall, except the snow never quite reaches any ground below. The flakes rise, drift, turn, fall, rise again, carried endlessly by the tender atmospheric breath. They are the stardust of Titan, the quiet glitter of its polar song, the pale gleam of hush. You drift among them now, your dream self passing softly through their slow, unhurried, patient shining ballet. They do not cling to you. They do not brush against you. They do not mark your passage. They simply part and close around your form the way mist parts around a gliding boat. Your shoulders do not collect any frost. Your face does not feel any cold touch tonight. They're only for the eyes of a dreamer, only for the gaze of a softened mind. And your mind, so softened now, receives their tender ballet as a long, wordless, drifting lullaby. How tender it is to be carried through a sky that knows how to glitter without ever demanding. How tender it is to pass among dancers who do not mind whether anyone watches them at all. And your breath lengthens further into a single long, shining thread winding softly through the powdered haze. Beneath these drifting flakes, the gentle mountains continue their long, rounded rest across the northern horizon below. Between their soft shoulders, small, quiet valleys hold pools of deeper amber, cupped within the pale, frosted folds. Within one such valley, a tiny stream of liquid methane moves so slowly it barely qualifies as motion. It is clear as dream glass, patient as a held breath, quieter than any whisper you have ever heard. It winds between the powdered slopes the way a pale ribbon winds across a folded silk scarf. It catches the amber light along its tender surface, carrying a thread of honey through the pale hills. You drift above it, watching its slow, unhurried passage through the sleeping, cool, gentle, golden valley below. The stream does not rush toward any sea, does not hurry toward any meeting, does not strain toward arrival. It simply flows the way a long thought flows through a drowsy mind just before sleep finishes. It flows the way warm honey flows from a tilted wooden spoon onto a waiting slice of bread. It flows the way a lullaby flows from a parent's throat into a child's quiet, listening ear. Your breath matches its pace, slow and unhurried, winding softly through the pale valleys of your chest. Your pulse matches its pace, patient and gentle, threading softly through the quiet chambers of your heart. And somewhere inside you, a small, forgotten tenderness begins flowing again, unhurried, along its own tiny valley. How lovely to remember that even the smallest streams inside you have always known the way home. And these crystalline versioni dance slowly past us now, the pale frost drifting softly into the thinning amber glow, and the voice becomes softer still, almost a whisper within the golden mist, carrying you gently toward the next tender fold of this patient, sleeping, shining, unhurried, quiet night. Those crystalline flakes settle slowly back toward the powdered crowns below, and the amber haze thickens again around you. Your dream self turns, tenderly, without any instruction, back toward the patient's southern shore once more. The golden air carries you the way a slow river carries a leaf that has finally stopped resisting. There is no effort in this returning, no small pull of memory, no faint ache of anything left behind. You're simply drifting home again, if home is the word for a shore you have only just met. And somehow it is the right word, because kraken mare already feels older than any waking address. Your shoulders know the shape of its patient grains. Your breath knows the rhythm of its hush. Your heartbeat remembers the tender lullaby of the distant whispered rain across its far honey horizon. You do not need to see the shore to feel it rising softly upward beneath your drifting form. The haze parts gently around you, the way a long curtain parts around a quietly entering guest. Below, the familiar curve of golden beach appears again, smooth as the inside of a warm bowl. Saturn still hangs above, the same patient lamp in the same patient place in the amber sky. Nothing has moved, nothing has changed, nothing has hurried itself in your absence from this tender place. The shore simply welcomes you again, the way a pillow welcomes a head that has briefly turned. And your dream body settles once more into its soft, golden, unhurried, cradling, sleepy, final resting hollow. You lie back fully now upon the fine, cool grains, letting every last border dissolve softly away. Your shoulders sink deeper than they sank before. Your back lengthens further into the patient, golden sand. Your arms rest open beside you, palms turned upward, fingers unfurled in the shape of quiet trust. Your legs grow long and heavy, warm as though filled with slow honey poured from a spoon. Your head settles into a tender hollow of sand that shapes itself quietly, exactly to your form. Your jaw hangs fully loose now. Your tongue lies low, your cheeks soften into deep, sleepy calm. Your eyebrows, which once worried through many small, busy days, smooth themselves into long, untroubled arcs. Your eyelids, heavy as warm honey sliding from a silver spoon, close themselves fully upon the amber world. Your breath grows longer, softer, rounder, until it seems barely to lift your chest at all. Your heartbeat grows quieter, gentler, patient, until it seems barely to knock within your resting ribs. There is no tension left anywhere in your form, not even the smallest hidden corner of holding. Titan has received every last small weight you were carrying through the long, far away, busy day. The shore holds you the way a mother's lap holds a small, trusting, utterly exhausted, sleepy child. And your body, both here on this beach and there on its bed, exhales one final gratitude. How lovely it is, at last, to simply be held without needing to hold anything back. Above you, the great lamp of Saturn continues its patient, unmoving watch across the amber sleeping sky. Its pale, buttery light falls softly through the haze, settling warmly upon your upturned, resting, dreaming face. The silver thread of rings still rests across the horizon like a soft underline beneath the evening. The pale, pillowy cloud still drifts somewhere far across the sea, whispering its ancient tender rain. Kraken mare still lies mirror-smooth before you, doubling every soft color of the sky upon itself. The dunes of Belay still breathe their long, parallel, golden lines of rest behind your quiet shoulders. Every element of this scene has stayed exactly where it belonged, waiting tenderly for your final return. Nothing has hurried to change in your brief absence. Nothing has shifted. Nothing has grown impatient at all. The universe, in its infinite kindness, has simply held this painting perfectly still on your behalf tonight. Isn't it a tender wonder to know that a whole world can wait, motionless, for a dreamer? Isn't it a soft miracle to realize that the cosmos has paused its brush for your quiet sake? Your chest softens beneath this knowing, as though a small warm hand had settled upon your heart. Your breath lengthens beneath this knowing, as though the air itself were sighing in tender agreement. And somewhere deep within your resting form, a last small corner of tension quietly unfolds itself. Titan has painted this entire evening as one long, still, golden canvas just for you. Let your awareness narrow, one final tender time, to a single small grain beside your relaxed hand. It is the same size as every grain, the same color as every grain, the same patient weight. And yet, in this moment, it becomes the entire universe, folded softly into one small shining point. Within its tiny surface, the whole amber sky is reflected, the lamp of Saturn, the silver thread. Within its tiny surface, the mirror of Kraken mare rests, the pillowy cloud, the whispered far rain. Within its tiny surface, the dunes of Belay breathe, the powdered mountains rest, the ice flakes dance. Within its tiny surface, the small stream of the polar valley flows, patient as any quiet thought. Within its tiny surface, your own dreaming form lies upon the shore, held by every tender element. The grain contains the whole night, and the whole night contains the grain without any strain. Small holds large, large holds small, and both rest inside each other without any quarrel tonight. How lovely to discover that the universe has hidden itself inside one tiny, sleepy golden bead. How lovely to discover that one tiny, sleepy golden bead has hidden the universe within its hush. Your breath matches the stillness of the grain. Your heartbeat matches the stillness of the grain. Your whole form becomes, for one long, tender moment, the same size as that patient point. And in that moment, there is nothing missing anywhere in the cosmos, nothing at all, nothing lacking. Let that knowing spread outward now, slowly, tenderly, filling the whole quiet cradle of this sleepy world. Titan will continue turning softly, patiently, around the great ringed lamp of Saturn for ages yet. Saturn will continue drifting softly, patiently, around our long-burning, honey-colored, kindly, distant sun for ages. Our sun will continue carrying its small family along the slow spiral arm of the galaxy still. The galaxy will continue turning its great, patient wheel through the velvet cosmos for ages beyond ages. None of this motion depends on your watching. None of it requires your attention. None of it hurries. The golden haze of Titan will glow whether you see it or not, for countless sleeping nights. The patient sea of Kraken will rest, mirror smooth, whether you walk its shore or dream elsewhere entirely. The dunes of Belay will breathe their long parallel lines whether anyone ever counts them again or not. The pale, pillowy clouds will drift, the tender droplets will fall, the whispered rain will continue singing. All of it will exist exactly as it is tonight, long after this quiet story has faded. And knowing this, your body releases one more tender measure of holding, one more small weight tonight. You do not need to carry this world in your memory, because the world carries itself perfectly. You do not need to remember its beauty, because its beauty will simply continue unhurried without your effort. And your chest softens beneath this tenderness, as though someone had lifted a last coat from your shoulders. Isn't it a soft wonder to realize that the universe continues its tender work entirely without you? Not in a lonely way, not in a cold way, not in a forgotten way, but in a kind way. The cosmos is not waiting for you to wake up. It is not needing you to keep watching. It is simply continuing patiently, lovingly, the way a river continues through a valley at night. The river does not need the sleeping villagers to witness its flow in order to keep flowing. The stars do not need any upturned gaze to keep shining softly through the velvet dark. Titan does not need any dreamer to keep breathing its slow, amber, ancient, honeyed, golden lullaby. The cosmos is in no way dependent upon your quiet attention tonight, and this is the deepest kindness, because it means you may rest fully, completely, without any small sense of neglect or duty. You may let the sky continue without you, and the sky will continue without any complaint whatsoever. You may let the sea rest without you, and the sea will rest without any tender reproach. You may let the dunes breathe without you, and the dunes will breathe without missing your gaze. Everything will be fine, entirely fine, quietly and patiently fine, while you close your eyes tonight. And how tender it is to be given, at last, permission to simply stop watching everything unfold. Your whole body sighs beneath this permission, sinking one last measure into the cradle of the shore. Feel now how the words themselves have begun to soften at their edges, like feathers in honey. Each sentence arrives a little more slowly than the one before, a little quieter, a little rounder. The voice that has carried you through this long, amber evening is lowering itself toward a whisper. It no longer needs to describe, because your body already knows every shape of the patient scene. It no longer needs to explain, because your breath already matches every rhythm of this sleeping world. It no longer needs to guide, because you have already arrived exactly where you needed to rest. The words become feathers, drifting softly through the golden haze above your quiet, upturned, dreaming face. Some of them settle gently upon your forehead, some upon your cheeks, some upon your open palms. They weigh almost nothing at all, these soft feather words, these tender syllables of golden, sleepy hush. They do not ask to be remembered. They do not ask to be understood. They only ask to rest. And so they rest upon you, one by one, layering themselves into a blanket of warm sound. The blanket grows softer with each feather, warmer with each feather, quieter with each feather still falling. Beneath it, your body sinks deeper into the mattress, deeper into the shore, deeper into sleep. Beneath it, your breath lengthens into something almost indistinguishable from the slow breath of the amber world. And the feathers continue falling, patient and tender, until even the voice itself begins to fade softly. Only the golden sky remains now, spread softly above your drowsy, resting, almost sleeping, quiet, trusting little form. Only the tender sea remains now, mirror smooth before your closed eyes, holding the amber light patiently. Only the soft sand remains now, cradling your body the way the oldest armchair cradles its guest. Only the lamp of Saturn remains now, hanging warmly above the widest cradle in the tender cosmos. Only the silver thread of rings remains now, drawn softly across the sleepy apricot horizon above you. Only the long breath of Titan remains now, matching your own breath in one shared, endless rhythm. Only the hush of the whispered rain remains now, softer than memory, older than any small story. Only the patient grain of sand remains now, resting quietly beside your hand, keeping its tender company. Only the pale dance of polar flakes remains now, somewhere far above, glittering without any expectation tonight. Only the warm weight of the amber blanket remains now, folded gently across your whole sleeping form. Only the soft light of the great lantern remains now, watching over your cradle without any hurry. Only the tender hush of the sleeping universe remains now, holding every small dreamer inside its vast kindness. Only you remain now, small and safe and warm and loved and held and entirely welcome here. Only the golden haze, only the patient sea, only the soft sand, only the distant ringed lamp. Only the hush, only the breath, only the sleep, only you, only Titan, only the hush. The voice grows softer still, barely louder than the whisper of grains sifting between quiet fingers. Words become pillows, small and warm and round, settling themselves gently around your softly closing awareness tonight. Phrases become blankets, soft and golden and weighted with the kindness of 1,000 sleeping worlds. Sentences become lullabies, unhurried and tender, and humming themselves down into the quiet chambers of your chest. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to catch them. You do not need to hold. They will find their way into your sleep on their own, the way warm tea finds itself, the way a candle finds its own small pool of light upon a wooden table at evening, the way a feather finds its own quiet resting place upon the shoulder of a sleeping child, the way a snowflake finds its own tender hollow upon the branch of a patient winter tree, the way a lullaby finds its own way into the dreams of whoever most needed its warmth. You are most needed by nothing tonight, and nothing is most needed by you tonight either. There's only this tender dissolving, this soft release, this patient sinking into the cradle of rest. There is only golden sky, only tender sea, only soft sand, only Saturn hanging softly above you. There is only the hush, only the breath, only the drifting, only the tender, quiet welcoming. And the voice grows softer still and softer until even softness itself is resting. And in this last golden hush, you and Titan softly fall asleep together as one tender breath. Your chest rises with the slow tide of kraken mare. Your chest falls with its patient retreat. The amber haze holds you, the patient sea holds you, the soft sand holds you, the lamp holds. Saturn watches over your cradle without watching, loves your rest without effort, keeps you without holding. The universe continues its quiet, nothing hurried, turning through the velvet dark, and you rest within its arms. You are entirely safe, entirely welcome, entirely held, entirely loved, entirely home, entirely small, entirely enough tonight. Nothing is missing, nothing is pressing, nothing is calling, nothing is waiting, nothing is asking anything of you. There's only this golden evening, only this tender hush, only this slow, sleepy, final, patient breath. And the cosmos continues its quiet, endless, unhurried, tender, patient, loving, gentle, ancient, sleeping, beautiful motion onward. Titan will keep turning, Saturn will keep glowing, the galaxy will keep drifting, the stars will keep shining. And you will keep sleeping warmly, softly, deeply, peacefully, safely, held within the cradle of the night. Let your last small thought dissolve now, like sugar in warm tea, like breath in honeyed air. Let your last small feeling soften now, like a feather landing upon a pillow of golden mist. Let your last small corner of holding release now, like a flower closing at the end of day. And sleep now, dear one, sleep now, held by Titan, held by Saturn, held by the universe,